But there's only
Alright.
one spot left, Aussie, and that's the big thing for today, of course. Puppypaw, LucifroN, Beast, and Anatan, only one of those 4 players will make it to London. We already have 3 players that have qualified, and unfortunately for 3 of these remaining players, there's going to be no spot for them in London.
Yeah, it's incredibly tough because there's obviously a huge amount of talent there. There's definitely some fan favorites there as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how it goes down. But if you had to put your money anywhere, Lidicor, who are you putting your money on? And why is it Anatan?
Boy, I'll be honest with you. If I had to put my money anywhere, I would just keep it in my pocket because I have no idea what to expect today. Beastie obviously is the biggest name who's still missing from London. But then again, he's up against Anatan, who had a really, really good 2025, and he's definitely one of the top contenders nowadays. I have no idea which of these 2 will prevail in that one. And on the other side, you have Puppypaw and LucifroN, 2 very dangerous players as well. I just feel like we have 2 equally matched semifinals right here. 9 and 12 is the head-to-head between Puppypaw and LucifroN, as we have a preview of our first set for today.
Yes, so obviously, yeah, there's some massive names that are missing. Puppypaw as well as Beastie. Puppypaw in particular has been performing incredibly well lately. He's won quite a few tournaments, so he's definitely going to be one to watch. But we'll see whether or not he'll be able to take out the Spaniard today. Of course, LucifroN is definitely no slouch when it comes to, I guess, his historic performances as well. But already we can start to see we've got some of the civilization picks coming through as well as the maps. Lidicor, run us through. What have we got here? We got some good. We got some classic maps in here. Honestly, Hill and Dale, King of the Hill. These are great.
Yeah, all of these are very, very traditional competitive maps, maybe except for Front Range, that's kind of the new kid on the block. But everything else has been there from the very beginning. King of the Hill and Dale, and of course Dry Arabia as well, have been in the game since release. And Frisian Marshes, it has been a new addition. It was one of the first custom map gens that we had when the map gen tools came into the game, and it has become a really popular tournament map there. And as you can see, for each of the games, the players will be picking 2 civilizations, and the opponent will take away one of those 2. So with that being said, we're going to have a Delhi versus Jeanne d'Arc matchup for game number 1.
Yes, so it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to see, hopefully, a game on Hill and Dale. You know, Hill and Dale takes me way back, Lidicor. I remember casting many a classic games on Hill and Dale, and it just fell out of favor. You know, that was back in the good days of Hill and Dale spawning with an 8k gold in your base. You could stonewall up the edges and just have a really good time inside. It wasn't very competitive, but it was very fun. But yeah, the game today, it's going to be full of food, that is for sure. When it comes to Frisian Marsh, is obviously a map that has got a lot of food on the map. So something to be looking out for here. Of course, the Delhi Sultanate, a civilization that does very well with lots of early food that it can control. So we'll be keeping an eye out on exactly how they go. Unfortunately, no Tughlaq dynasty today. So they're getting sniped out, unfortunately.
Well, we might see that in one of the remaining games because it's still going to be available for LucifroN to use, just not for game number 1. And while we're still waiting for game number 1 to begin, I think this is a good time to look at the draft. And one of the things I'm noticing, Ozzy, is that LucifroN allowed Puppypaw to have Malians. He did not ban Malians, and because Malians were banned from him, LucifroN wasn't eligible to pick Malians, but Malians were left in the pool, allowing Puppypaw to come away with that, one of the more powerful civilizations in this version of the game, and one of the most frequently banned civilizations throughout the tournament.
Yeah, it's a civilization that's got a huge amount of power, so leaving it in there is quite interesting. We can also see some differences in the pick, so obviously LucifroN going quite early, looking to try and pick up that Chinese. So I'm excited to see that. You know, I'm a big fan when it comes to the Chinese, so hopefully we get to see them out today as well. But yeah, for this first match, Jeanne d'Arc versus Delhi Sultanate. I think realistically, you're looking at 2 civilizations that are both quite aggressive in the feudal age. They do want to get out. They do want to get that map control. Which civilization do you think a map like this favors, Lidicor?
Ooh, this is a tricky one. I feel like, in general, Delhi has a decent matchup against Jeanne d'Arc, but this map, Frisian Marsh, is super, super open. Really a map where high-tempo gameplay can really be something that you can leverage to get extra food from the pawns and just gain momentum. And I feel like Jeanne d'Arc's early feudal aggression ability to aggress is such a powerhouse to just leverage that continuous map control game. I would lean towards Jeanne d'Arc here, but then again, as I said, Delhi does have a decent matchup against Jeanne d'Arc, so this could easily be a coin flip. And it could also be a game that goes very, very long. Frisian Marshes tends to be a map which could easily go into Imperial. Let's see if that's going to be the case as we head into game number 1.
Oh. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to game number 1. We've made it all the way here. We've got 2 of the best players in the world, and unfortunately only one place. 4 of the best players in the world, Ludicor, and only one place for them to fight amongst. This is the first of the battles that we'll be watching tonight. 2 big names spawning in the west corner of the map in the color red, playing as the Delhi Sultanate. It's Puppypaw.
I keep forgetting that you asked me to do the other introduction, but down south we do have LucifroN playing as the color yellow as Jeanne d'Arc. And again, as a reminder, this is the semifinals, the first game of the semifinals for Road to Wololo Londinium. The final qualifiers, one of these 2 players will certainly not make it to London. And right off the get-go, we're going to have to take a look at how the sheep distribution looks like on this map. This map is notorious for having so many sheep at the beginning, and it's a huge boost to your early economy. Nice little touch here on the bottom right of your screen. We have the ability to showcase the trajectories of the scouts. So the lines that you see on that little minimap is the path that the scouts have been taking. So far, they've been going separate ways. So no conflicting sheep gather spots between the 2 players just yet.
And just a single lonely sheep in that north corner of the map that remains, unfortunately. I do like all these little additions that you guys over at EGC TV have got. It's been a while since I've casted over here, but I tell you what, it feels very comfy. And yeah, I love the way that you can see the little outline of the scout as they go through. Such a great little change, and hopefully a sign of things to come. But anyway, we've got some transitions that are coming through shortly. When it comes to landmarks, which way do you think we're going to be going for Puppypaw? I mean, that's kind of obvious. It's probably going to be done with the Faith, almost certainly. And then we'll go to LucifroN then. Is there the potential? I was going to say, is there the potential for trade on a map like this? But I don't know, Ludicor. I'll let you answer that question. What do you think?
Technically, yes. In fact, we've seen quite a few games in the past. Again, this is a long-standing tournament map. We've seen quite a few games in the past which opened with heavy trade because the return of investment can be huge on that. But that tends to be the case when your opponent plays a very defensive gameplay. It could be a good response to a 2 TC or dare I say 3 TC build on the other side. Given that Delhi doesn't usually do that, I don't think that's the appropriate response. And if you think about it, if Puppypaw opens with a couple of Ghazi Raiders, he can easily cause a lot of damage before the trade could get rolling. So I feel like it would be a dangerous move for LucifroN to make. Not impossible, but looks like he opts for the School of Cavalry, as most of us would expect.
Indeed, we do see it coming through now. So just the one pond that's been taken at this stage for Puppypaw, which is pretty standard, the 3 fishing boats, the one pond. You want to go for a combination. I remember back in the good old days, whenever you'd have the opportunity to go for a fishing start like this, you'd see 2 or potentially even 3 docks put down. But the reality is it just delays you way too much on that age up. But we now see, so it's about an 80-second timing. So it's going to be somewhere in around the 5-minute region that we've got the age up coming through for LucifroN. Puppypaw, of course, still yet to actually click up. But I'm sure he'll be up relative. Actually, excuse me. I'm sure he'll be up relatively quickly. All right, we've got another villager moving towards the north here as well. So Puppypaw potentially eyeing out a second dock. Villagers doing a little bit of long distance mining. Hold on a minute. Is it just me, or has he got his pickaxe out, or is that a fishing pole out? It's hard to see from here.
It looks like a fishing pole to me. He's just coming out here for the little shore fish. And one thing that needs to be mentioned here, Ozzy, is back in the early days when this map was out in the tournament map pool, the ponds tended to spawn a little closer to the players. In this version, they generally tend to be a little further away. So it takes slightly more time to walk out, and it takes just a bit of a larger investment to really get out to the ponds and start leveraging the shorefish.
Yeah, it's definitely a smarter move from the map makers. Gives a little bit more chance for counterplay as well by not making it completely 100% obvious that you need to go for that fishing boat in the early stages of the game. But the age up about to come through on that south side of the map. We hear the School of Cavalry now coming up. Jeanne d'Arc moving out, and we've got the woman at arms, the sword woman.
Yeah, the classic melee version, something that you tend to see most of the time. It's going to be really good to deal with those spearmen that will inevitably come out from Puppypaw. Puppypaw is going to be a little delayed going into feudal here. I love the little harassment with the scout here, by the way. Obviously, scouts don't do a lot of damage, but when the villager is out in the middle of nowhere and he just needs to finish that dock, you can easily take this villager down to a very low HP and then perhaps finish it off later with a scout or horseman or something.
100%. It's one of those little battles that hopefully if you're able to do enough damage or, you know, there's always the potential that you can find something later with a follow-up raid. We do now start to see the dock coming up as well as the age up now for Puppypaw. With the Dome of the Faith put down, the barracks getting thrown down as well. And all upgrades on the way. We're going to be keeping an eye out on the left side of the screen, and we can see all those upgrades coming through now. I tell you what, I've seen plenty of Puppypaw Deli games, and one of the things that I often have difficulty forgiving is the fact that he will sometimes forget those upgrades. So it's great to see that he is on the ball today with those upgrades.
As expected, Jeanne d'Arc coming in for a little push on the gold mine, and this could be an interesting spot, Ozzy. Both of the gold mines are to the front here for Puppy. Same is the case on the other side. The berries are on the front as well for Puppypaw, so there is a lot of damage potential here, or at least harassment potential for LucifroN, but for now he's just trying to chase down that one spearman that's heading north. Interesting to see that the spearman is heading towards the market, though. One would wonder if this is just an intent to try and scout a potential trade. Or it's heading towards a villager. It's one of those two.
I think it's probably just the fact that he's leading away Jeanne d'Arc here, and this is just buying him so much space, so much time. You know, you've got this hero unit that is obviously very good at dealing with a lot, yeah, at this stage, it's basically just been forced off to the sidelines for the moment. But yeah, we continue to see these villagers searching around in the ponds and just dropping docks continually. So both players continuing to expand over towards this north side of the map. Knight down towards the center as well. And Jeanne d'Arc still looking for those big swings. Ghazi Raiders out as well, so should be able to finally chase her down, but there's plenty. Oh, have a look at all these units, Lytical.
And this is a good move here from Puppypaw. As you mentioned, it might have been the case of him trying to drag Jeanne d'Arc away from his base. But that just meant that Jeanne was kind of caught in the middle of nowhere, and that's a lot of damage done on Jeanne. Quite a few spearmen coming in as well. Have to be careful with the knights, but so far, LucifroN doing a good job pulling Jeanne back, and with the heal, she is still standing.
Yeah, but that pathing not looking the best right there. LucifroN trying to keep her alive, but unfortunately almost certainly going to be going down as the Ghazis get that last hit. And now the spears. Early tempo in favor for Puppypaw, that is for sure. Have a look at that military advantage at the top of your screen. 20 military units against 3. LucifroN having a bit of a tough opening in this game. What is his plan as we head into the mid-game?
And this is what we talked about, Ozzy, in the pre-game. Delhi tends to have a really good matchup against French and Jeanne d'Arc in general, because the Ghazi Raiders, obviously a unit that gets bonus damage against heavy cavalry. That's a great little extra when it comes to fighting knights. And now we also have another aspect of the Delhi here for Puppypaw. He can pull all of those units back and heal them up real quick, and just increases unit retention so much.
Yeah, it's a great point, having access to those scholars in the in the feudal age, because that's the age that we're in right now. Just, yeah, definitely gives him a huge amount of flexibility here. So the question is, where does he go from here? Does he look to double down and make even more units and really try and retain power through the feudal age? There's obviously quite a few sacred sites on the map, so that could be a potential option for him. He could look to go castle after taking those sacred sites, so we'll keep an eye out on it. But at this stage, he's done a great job in securing a lot of the ponds. So we see him with 4 ponds at the moment on the mini-map. But by the same token, LucifroN's also secured quite a few.
Beautiful moves here by LucifroN, by the way, hiding the villager away from the horsemen in the stealth forest. The horsemen did not have a scout accompanying them, so they didn't see the villager up until now. Puppypaw, well, technically he saw it, but I'm not sure if he was looking at this part of his screen. Still, the villager is alive and kicking, and just to answer your question, the most obvious thing to do for Puppypaw here is probably to try and push those docks. I don't think he wants to dive the enemy base, but with so many docks being out on the map, those become natural targets for him.
Yeah, great point. But now it looks like that dock may potentially be going down as those Ghazi Raiders continue the search. They know that villager is around, but look at the control from LucifroN. So wonderfully done. The consequence of no scout, and immediately that villager just comes straight back. He's spotted it, though, once again. And now the now the villager heads to the north. Put that Benny Hill music on, Liticor. Oh gosh, look at it go.
Poppy's sending like 6 more horsemen on across the map. You can see the little red dots coming in. Like, he's having none of this. He wants that dock gone before it's even up.
Yeah, it is. It's a frustrating game to play. You're up against one of the world's best here, LucifroN, just demonstrating. I mean, he's always been famous for his micro and just attention to detail. But unfortunately, in the end, that poor villager will be going down. I wonder, was this the same villager that was caught out by that scout earlier?
I think so, yes. This guy's been running around like a madman. There is not even a second villager for LucifroN out here. That villager is solely responsible for every single dock that was built.
A lot of docks, but now, speaking of a lot, there's a lot of spears over on this west side of the map. A lot of spear v spear. As Joan of Arc is still in the mix. She's going to be looking for some big swings here as the archers also tee off on all of these spears. The knights towards the top side going to have to fall back as the spear number continues to climb. It's hard to make a dent in it when there's this many of them, but fortunately, the archers together with the spears are able to hold off the Delhi Sultanate army. And now we've got LucifroN looking to really put the pedal to the metal when it comes to aggression in this early game.
The Ghazi Raiders are missing from this fight for Puppypaw. They're coming in from the right side, looking to intercept reinforcements for the time being. And you gotta credit LucifroN for the micro here. He's done a really good job shielding the knights with the spearmen. Most of Puppy's spearmen were actually fighting against the spears and not the knights. So far, LucifroN has done a really good job retaining those few knights he still has.
Yeah, that was definitely something I picked up as well. The fact that the spears were just, you know, it's never fun to fight against enemy spears when the enemy's also got archers behind. It's just a fight that's never really going to go well for you. So the fact that the Ghazi Raiders, they weren't necessarily out of position, but they weren't in the fight. Beautiful surround here as well coming through. Trying to sneak another villager out here, not able to find it today. He's going to have to head on back in. Plenty of units still here, though, for LucifroN. Looks like we may potentially have an age up on the way as well. Puppypaw with 1,000 food in the bank. Could also just be Miss Macro. The fact that he's got no villagers on gold. It's going to be a couple of minutes before he's got gold enough to age up, especially considering he's at 0 a minute right now.
I was going to say that, Ozzy. I don't think it's a Miss Micro or a Miss Macro because he doesn't have a lot on wood. If he wanted to balance this, he could easily send a bunch of villagers on wood, as I'm saying that he's doing that right now. I have a feeling he tried to age because he had a decent momentum going for him. But with the gold mines being on front, he's just being denied of that right now. And that puts him in a very precarious spot because, again, you're just kind of stuck in between two positions. You cannot age up, but you do not have the production or the wood to really just double down on the production. Do keep in mind, though, the army count is huge right now for Puppypaw. It's twice the size of LucifroN's. But then again, LucifroN does have the knights, and also Puppypaw's numbers are somewhat inflated by the scholars. Still, if he manages to hold this position here and just clean up the forces from in front of his base, he should be able to age up fairly quickly.
Yeah, definitely. But now down towards that west corner, we see the spears trying to make their way towards that army. They will be able to collapse against the wood line. Joan of Arc gets off a pretty big swing right there, but she's going to get focused down by the archer numbers. Sniped out as Puppypaw now begins to turn the tide, and have a look at this military mass. You know, we were talking about the power of LucifroN's army just minutes ago, and now all of a sudden Puppypaw decides, hey, we're going to commit absolutely everything to the front door, and he is looking to barge through here very quickly. Have a look at the archer number that he's sitting on as well, Liticor. He's up to 15 archers, which is a massive amount. I don't know where these archers came from. They must have got shipped in from the home city or something.
That's exactly the new addition to Puppypaw's army that's making this happen. In the previous fight near the gold mines, he did not have archers, so he did not have an easy way to clean up LucifroN's spearmen and just let his own spears chase down the knights. Now he does have a decent amount of archers, but he still needs to be careful. He's got a very archer-heavy composition, and he's still facing a lot of knights.
Yes, yeah, there's quite a few knights out, and you've always got to be careful with those knights. Of course, knight superiority, a very real potential problem here for the Delhi Sultanate. Something to be aware of, but continues to control quite well. The spearman number looking decent for Puppypaw at this stage of the game, 25 spears. And now a potential break as 14 villagers move out over to gold for Puppypaw. This could be it, where he looks for that castle age timing.
Notice that he did not do that immediately. He could have done this a minute ago, but he was chasing that enemy army. I think he wanted to gauge whether he can actually squeeze in that age up. And now he decided that he can't. He needs to rush up the towers, though, because there is a push coming in here from LucifroN. And when LucifroN sees all of these villagers on gold, he knows what's going on. He knows that Puppypaw wants to age.
Exactly. You're 100% on the money here, and he's doing everything he can to try and stop it, but he's potentially taking a bad fight right here. He knows how important it is to deny that age up, but at the cost of your army. It's a big ask, and now a single Ghazi Raider chasing down the remnants of this infantry. Have a look how many archers are here as Joan of Arc once again goes down. The archer number looking incredibly powerful here for Puppypaw. Just going completely infantry at this stage of the game now. Spears together with those archers. The spears more than capable of holding off the rest of those knights. The knight number is still looking quite healthy for LucifroN, so don't count him out just yet. Those knights are, of course, incredibly powerful.
Yeah, this is the big thing here for LucifroN. He managed to keep the knights alive, even though they're very heavily battered. A lot of them are barely alive, but they are still around. He did lose a lot of archers, though, and on the other side, Puppypaw does have 24 spearmen, 33 archers, and now, as he's aging up in the House of Learning, once he gets the Castle Age, he can pivot to crossbows to deal with these knights. LucifroN knows that his opponent is aging, but he cannot really do anything about it right now.
Yeah, I think the best thing he can do is exactly what he's doing. Continue pivoting at the front. Try and deny as many resources as you can. Look to see if you can take a fight that's favorable before that age up comes through. And the moment the age up comes through, probably a good idea to back on out of there, because there's going to be units very quickly coming out from the Delhi Sultanate. But he's going to look to try and push forward with these knights, just constantly taking damage on them. Joan of Arc now has leveled on up, so she's going to be a little bit more potent. The age up comes through. We've got probably about 20 seconds before those crossbows start to hit the field, and they're immediately in queue. Joan of Arc goes for a big swing. Does some decent damage. She's still got plenty of health on her, and now all of a sudden, LucifroN 7 starting to look a little bit scary inside this Delhi Sultanate base. A couple lances in the queue for Puppypaw as well. More spears coming out, and the archer number still healthy enough to be able to one-shot these spearmen on the back line. He's sitting on 17 spears at the moment, which should be a decent amount, but Joan of Arc getting another big swing in on that top line. Lidicor, is it all going down right now? LucifroN is absolutely putting the pedal to the metal here.
He has to. He needs to do this before the upgrades come in, and the timing is just perfect. These are still Feudal Age units for Puppypaw, 0 upgrades on them. This fight is just as if it happened in Feudal, and most of the spearmen are now gone from Puppypaw's army. He only has 2 spearmen alive. The archers will barely make any damage on those knights. More knights are coming in, and Puppypaw, he's got half of his eco idled out. This is just such a good push here for LucifroN. I don't know if it's going to end the game, but boy, oh boy, is LucifroN back in this.
Yeah, it definitely feels like it could right now. This is classic knight superiority, where there's just nothing that the enemy can do when the knights reach that key momentum, and we see the army value lead. Now all of a sudden more than almost 3,000 resources ahead for LucifroN. So he is doing incredibly well. Ghazi Raid is going to reunite inside the base. Spearmen also being brought forward here. And we can see Joan of Arc still somehow staying alive through all of this. Down to about 30% health. Getting picked off by those Ghazis.
This is big, though. Jean is gone, and look at the HP of those knights. The knights are also slower than the Ghazi Raiders. These guys are not getting out of here alive. And Ozzy, this is why I said I'm not sure if this ends the game, though. Because, sure enough, you idled Puppypaw's economy, but when it's all said and done, you have 3 eco kills for LucifroN at the price of so many knights. I still think he's managed to kind of even things out here, but he also lost a lot of units trying to make this happen.
Yeah, you're not wrong at all. It's a bit of a tough spot for him to be in now, because his opponent's reached Castle Age. He's lost a lot of his knights and his flexibility. So where does he go from here? Does he look to potentially raid? I suspect he's probably going to try and get up to the Castle Age himself. He knows that it's not going to be possible to do it ASAP, so he wants to try and put out a little bit of pressure before he's able to get up there, but expect to see it. Probably within the next 2 minutes, though.
Jean is back, and she's healing those knights up. That is just such a crucial thing. And of course, you also have the passive healing of the knights coming in. The fact that these low HP knights are still alive is huge. Right now, LucifroN cannot really dive with these because they're just going to melt away instantly, as I'm saying that he is actually going to do that. But one thing is sure, if these knights are back up to full HP, LucifroN still can maintain momentum, and I think he's not thinking about Castle Age right now. It's just metal to the metal.
Yeah, he's got quite a big income coming through at the moment, but as you can see, he's spending all of it, so definitely pedal to the metal. It's been the theme of LucifroN's play in this game, and I guess, to be more fair, his career, realistically. Every single game, he's incredibly aggressive, and it is no different in this one, either on Frissy and Marshes. But now, towards that top side, we've got Joan of Arc once again with a full health pool and ready to cause some damage. Puppypaw going to try and hold on. Crossbow numbers looking a little bit better here. He's up to 8 crossbow. Vils migrate away from that north, fearful of a potential impact by those knights. Joan with the swing to win. Plenty of knights in on that back line, trying to work through all of these spears. It's hard to see. Have the spearmen got their upgrades just yet?
They don't.
Looks like they might. They're still feudal age spearmen, which just makes it even harder. And now look at the number. LucifroN almost double the military count of Puppypaw inside the Delhi Sultanate base. This is a bad spot, Lidical.
This is a terrible spot for Puppypaw now. You can actually see his villagers are running around desperately looking for a place to work. Now they get intercepted by the knights, and the bottleneck is just so bad here for Puppypaw. This is exactly what LucifroN needed. He traded armies so far, but now he's killing eco. And now he is just pushing Puppypaw against the wall. Villagers have to migrate, and this might just be it, Ozzy. The eco damage is becoming unsustainable here for Puppy.
Yeah, this is exactly what you were talking about before. The fact Puppypaw was able to get through it without eco damage meant he was okay. But once these vills start to go down as he garrisons inside the house, just Delhi Sultanate things right there. But it's starting to look a little bit scary. No military units out on the field at the moment. He's got 6 scholars. That's it. 6 scholars to his name. And, well, a whole lot of prayer, I think. And that's exactly what he needs here, because he's going to need a miracle to win this game with an army this big inside of his base.
And that's one of the weaknesses of the Delhi that we are seeing here, Ozzy. They cannot rush technologies early game. And that is exactly why Puppy never had the veterancy on the spearmen. By the time the upgrade came in, all of his spearmen were just gone.
Yeah, it's one of those awkward things when it comes to fighting as the Delhi Sultanate, but we can see that Puppypaw has managed to keep it alive. Look, there's still a couple Hail Marys that he can throw here, okay? I'm going to put it out there. Number one, if he can get a keep up, if he can get to village fortresses, things can get better for him, so I'm not going to count him out just yet, even though it doesn't look pretty. Village fortresses could definitely change things.
You have a good point, and he thought about the same thing. If you look at that stone mine to the north, he started mining stone a few minutes ago, and just when the knights arrived, he had to pull the villagers away. So LucifroN knows that Puppy wanted to rush a castle. It would have been great just for defensive purposes, if nothing else. But right now, the problem is that he does not have access to that stone mine. And I think if you're LucifroN, you're keeping an eye out on that stone pile just to make sure that the castle never goes up.
Well, unfortunately, we're not going to be seeing any village fortresses today because Puppypaw taps out LucifroN 7, becoming the victor with LucifroN 7 1 and Puppypaw 0. A tough game right there. That is one, I don't know about you, Lidical, but from the perspective of Puppypaw, that would have been so difficult to play. Just the constant pressure for those last 7, 8, 9 minutes. It's stress-inducing for sure. We can see in the end some pretty key differences there, especially when it came to the military value lead.
Yeah, it's just going to be like that when you play someone like LucifroN. You know it's going to be like that. Games will be quick. It's going to be a lot of aggression. A very tempo-dictating opponent that you're looking at. And Puppypaw had a good start to the game. I just feel like once he aged up to Castle Age, he encountered this weakness from Delhi where you couldn't rush your technologies. And LucifroN knew fully well that it's now or never, decided to dive. And the first engagements did not yield eco kills. It was that real final push where he started picking off villagers that really sealed the deal.
Yeah, that was a incredibly difficult spot to come back from, but as we can see right now, we've got some highlights from the previous game. Get to see Joan of Arc in the early stages. Really cool. I love how EGC is doing all this. It comes as a shock to me, I'll say that right now. But we've got our upcoming game is going to be on Hill and Dale, so I'm going to be looking forward to that one, Lidical.
Hill and Dale, and we're going to have the Ottomans in the hands of LucifroN. Very aggro civilization, and one of the highest win rate civs in the entire tournament, often gets banned for that reason. On the other side, Rus, not something that you see an awful lot in competitive AoE 4 nowadays.
Yes, but definitely I suspect we might be seeing some very nice high trade houses, of course, when it comes to Hill and Dale. Notorious for its wood lines. Obviously, this Hill and Dale's a little bit better than the average or standard Hill and Dale, but still, there is the potential that we could get something crazy. And yeah, we've seen some pretty good high trade houses, so much so that they can carry games with the amount of gold that they produce. So we'll definitely be looking forward to that. But yeah, in the end, a really well-controlled army from LucifroN 7, just great control throughout the game. And yeah, interesting to see the meta on Frisia Marshes and how it's evolved, because things are definitely different on this map. The fact that both players just constantly expanding throughout the game, not really paying a huge amount of attention to the docks that we got to see. You know, like those docks were out there, and you could tell that early on Puppypaw wanted to put pressure onto those docks. However, LucifroN obviously wasn't allowing it, and LucifroN was just going straight for the throat every single point.
It's always nice to see the evolution of these maps when you consider how long they've been in the game. I do remember the days when everybody was just doodling up with walls and 2 TCs on Frisian Marshes. There were times like that. It's very nice to see that as the game evolves and as you add new civilizations, the dynamics of specific maps just totally shift. Even just a single new civilization being added could totally shake up the meta for a given map.
Yeah, and that's exactly how it goes. And it's funny how such small little things like that can happen. As you mentioned, just a single civ coming through could be enough to change the meta for an entire map. So, yeah. All right, well, we've got about 3 minutes until the next game. The Ottomans, the Rus. If you had to put your money anywhere, Political, I know I asked you earlier, and you said, well, look, in this economy, we're all keeping our money in our pockets here, but who you betting on?
Oh, you really want to make me go broke, don't you?
I do. Let me see it.
This is a tricky one. If I had to consider this matchup, I would say until mid-late Castle Age, I like the Ottomans more. If this game goes into mid-late Imperial, especially given the history of these players, LucifroN being, you know, that kind of player that prefers to just play quick games, be very aggro, and finish games quickly, I just feel like once you get to mid-late Imperial, I can see this swinging back to the Rus. But a lot is going to come down to how the timing looks like for the military schools. Ottomans are notorious for just gaining passive strength as time goes on with the military schools. It's kind of funny because, in a way, I think it's Puppy who needs to be the aggressor in this game to counter that threat.
Alright, well, we'll see how it goes. We've got about 2 minutes until it happens. And, of course, on Hillendale, a map that is, I guess, a little bit more prone to defensive play. You can obviously still be aggressive on it, but a civilization like the Rus is going to excel here, especially with its ability to wall. Those fortified palisade walls, cheaper, faster, prettier, sturdier, all those good words to describe them. And on a map like this, you're going to want to be using them. So whether or not we potentially see Puppypaw wall up like crazy, it could be an option as well. But yeah, so far, LucifroN starts off with a 1-0. It's going to be a long climb for Puppypaw to get back into it. But, I mean, he's got some good civs on his side. So, you know, he's still got the Marlians in the back pocket as well that he can save for a rainy day. Where does he pull those out? Probably on Dry Arabia, maybe? Front range, potentially?
I was going to say King of the Hill. I could see that being an interesting option there, but yeah, elsewhere, he still has Mongols, he still has French available, and he's got Japanese too. That was his alternate pick for this map. Again, each player picks 2 civilizations, and the opponent cannot deny one of those 2, leaving you with the other one to play. So, Puppypaw certainly contemplated using the Japanese over here, and just to get back to the whole conversation of the draft format, that is an interesting consideration when you look at the civilization picks for maps. It's not like, hey, I want to play this civilization. I know what you're going to do. I'll try to counterpick that. It's more like, I have 2 picks, you have 2 picks, but it's not so obvious that I can just simply counterpick your choice.
Yes. It's quite interesting, isn't it, the way that the dynamic works, and I think that there's a lot of mind games that come in with that as well. But yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? How, I mean, I'll be honest with you, Lytical, when it comes to my skill for Age of Empires 4, it's definitely dropped off quite a bit recently. So when it comes to more matchup specific stuff, I'm probably not the best suited to comment on it. But I'm going to trust these guys know what they're doing. And they're confident with their civilization picks. Let's just go with that.
Indeed, we head into game number 2 here. It is Hillendale, the old school classic, LucifroN versus Puppypaw, the Rus versus the Ottomans.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to game number 2. This is our semi-finals. LucifroN 7 Puppypaw, two of the best players in the world on a map that is quite often a little bit defensive. Anyway, sporting in on the southwest side of the map in the color yellow, playing as the Ottomans today, it's LucifroN 7. Oh, excuse me. I've got my colors all mixed up. Hold on, what's going on here, Ike? Cow. Am I crazy? Am I going crazy? I feel like, hold on. Let's click on a TC. I gotta verify some names here. I think I might be going crazy. Okay, this is Puppypaw. All right. We'll go with Puppypaw. Wait, why is he yellow? Oh my god. Lidikoff. I'm
Yes.
Oh god.
Puppypaw on the right side
Classic
in red,
Age of Empires.
LucifroN with the color yellow on the left side, and we're just gonna settle at that.
This is classic Age of Empires 4, where you've got friendly colors. What's it called? Friend and foe colors, basically, where it forces the colors to be. Normally, it's blue and red, but you can customize it. Well, yes. Unfortunately, when we change perspective, it also changes the colors of the players. Anyway, let's get into it because we've got ourselves a fun matchup today. Well, it's going to be fun for LucifroN, I suspect. He's on the Ottomans today, up against Puppypaw with the Roost. Puppypaw going to be opening up with a deer start here, and I suspect in the base of LucifroN, he's probably going to be doing the same thing. It's always so lovely on a map like this when you get the deer inside your base. Just allows you to really accelerate that early game. And it just translates to a whole bunch of safe extra food. You can leave the sheep underneath the TC, so it gives you a lot more longevity. And it's one of those things that really kind of helps discourage that aggressive play. So how early are we going to be seeing Castle Ages here, Lidikoff? What do you reckon? Do you reckon we'll be seeing sub 10 minutes?
We could, but a lot is going to come down to the spearmen coming out, and this is something I wanted to touch on. There is a military school for LucifroN. It's the less aggressive version of the Ottoman Dark Age Spearman Rush. Sometimes you see players opening racks and going spears. That's more expensive, but it also allows you to get the spearman out a little quicker. Military School obviously gives you the freebie spearman, but it still kind of opens up this opportunity to harass a little. And just to your point that you said in the pregame about potential walls from Puppypaw, it's going to make it a little bit more difficult to do that. Really, it's going to come down to the aggression of LucifroN that determines how quickly we could have Castle Age here, especially for Puppypaw.
All right, well, both age ups are coming through. We've got the Kremlin coming up with a single villager as well. So we are witnessing something that, well, I guess it's something that you see quite often with, say, like the Japanese civilization. They love to put the one villager on the age up as they go for it. But a little bit of a struggle here early on as LucifroN is just getting down and dirty with these villagers.
That spearman does a misleadingly high amount of damage, by the way. It doesn't seem like it's much, especially when it's distributed across villagers, but some of those villas are now pretty beaten up. They had to leave the gold mine here. And eventually, when the fights become more intense, those villagers could easily become casualties of other units. Quite a lot of harassment potential over here for LucifroN. He's actually housed for the moment. I don't know if he noticed that. Hopefully he's not going to lose villagers as a consequence. Uh-oh, this is a problem.
Looks. He's rushing up a house. He's got 3 vills on it, so it's going to be pretty quick, but still, that's quite a bit of idle time here. You're going to see his idle TC, or his, the eco-efficiency is going to start to fall off in that bottom left-hand corner. Actually, let's double-check and have a look and see. That number should... I mean,
I don't think
technically the TC's idle.
Yes, technically it's producing the unit, it just cannot pop it out, so I don't think it counts towards the stat, but just looking at the top of the screen, 19 villagers against 18. I think there is like at least almost a 4 villagers worth of differential, although now Puppy is housed. Puppy, same problem. Okay, there is the differential.
Look, it's a high stakes game, and you got to remember that. It's hard to keep you cool here, unless you're Marine Lord and you've done this a million times. It's going to be hard to keep you cool, but age up's now starting to come through. We see the Salt and Honey Trade Network. Am I correct in seeing the Salt and Honey Trade Network? I thought I saw that coming out from LucifroN. I might be crazy, but it looks like that mining camp is going to be repaired. The Spears managed to get the torch. Unfortunately, he's not playing as the Mongols, so nothing really comes of it other than just having to force the enemy to expend a little bit of wood here. Now the villager's going to migrate out after completing the Kremlin. A lot of villagers on gold here, so it looks like it's going to be a direct-to-castle game here for Puppypaw. Plenty of gold in the, or rather food in the bank as well. Have a look at that. Almost 1,300 food.
Yeah, if you look at the gold mine, though, there is certainly value in that spearman push. If that wasn't happening, Puppypaw would already be going up to Castle Age. With the gold income he has, I think LucifroN managed to delay the Castle Age timing by a solid minute-ish. That's going to help a little.
I would agree.
And also, when it comes to torching down at Mining Camp, Puppypaw had to spend the villager time on repairing this, so quite some idle time forced, which is pretty good for spearmen that you did not pay a price for. You just paid for the military school. And it looks like LucifroN is trying to just catch up in that Castle Age timing. His eco was not harassed, but he's still going to be at least a minute behind Puppypaw.
Yeah, we do actually see traders moving out all the way to the north as well. If we take a look at that north trade post, it's actually a whole bunch of traders that are there right now, having a good time, doing a little bit of a shop. How much gold are we talking here? 0 for the moment. Don't worry, I'm sure they've clicked on the trade post. They've got their gold. High trade house going to be coming up as well here for Puppypaw. I want to see the number, but it looks like the positioning on it's going to be pretty subpar, to be honest. Maybe it was better to save this high trade house for King of the Hill, maybe, potentially.
Yeah, this is what I'm thinking about. In between the two forts, it might have been a better option. I don't know.
For sure.
It's always a little riskier because if you build it in the middle of nowhere, you could be harassed, especially with Sipahi coming in for LucifroN. Plus, do keep in mind that Puppypaw does not have a full vision on what LucifroN is doing in Feudal. So if he's nervous about potentially getting denied his age up, it makes sense to be a little bit more conservative. But given how the game is, he could have gotten away with a slightly more optimal placement.
Agreed, 100%. And I think you've nailed it exactly how it is. He could have gotten away with it, but obviously with the situation, he knew, hey, look, there's spears out on the map. We're not going to play with fire. We've already had a little bit of a play with fire in this game, and we did get burned. And look, we want to keep our hands at least functional today. So age up starting to come through for both of these players. MIA on the way for LucifroN 7, the Mehmed Imperial Armory and the High Trade House, which we've never called the HTH, for Puppypaw on the Roos. Age up's coming through at almost identical timings here before the 8-minute mark, as we suspected. And now, with the High Trade House up, see the militia being called. He's going to be looking to put some pressure out on these early relics. Of course, the Ottomans notorious for taking them away, and unfortunately, it does look like he's going to have the time here. This is a very quick relic snag.
Yeah, LucifroN's Castle Age timing is sick here. I expected him to be a little slower than Puppypaw, but apparently I was wrong, because not only is he reaching Castle Age at about the same time, he already had 2 scholars out on the field to start picking up those relics, and right now the relic race looks like a 0-2. Militia will be here to harass this Imam a little, but even if you kill this Imam, the relic is going to be so close to the base of LucifroN here. You might pop a Wololo here just to try to buy some time.
Yeah, Horse Archer as well, coming in off the back, going to do enough damage. Unfortunately, the relic does go down, but as you mentioned, this is basically a safe relic. I think the biggest issue that you've got here is the fact that the Imam has been killed. Keep in mind with the Ottomans, they're typically getting their Imams through their Vizier system. They're not actually dropping down that mosque, or at least not early. So it means that if we take a look inside the base, I don't know whether or not if he's dropped down the monastery, but this will potentially delay him. So yeah, you can see the mosque only coming up now. So this is going to delay the subsequent collection of relics. So he's got 2 in the base now. The third one's quite safe. He's actually got another relic, 4 relics basically. 2 of them quite safe. That one down to the south. Have a look at this. This is very, very safe.
Yeah, notice that for the first relic, he did not even wait for the mosque to go up. He just dropped it inside his base and went for the subsequent ones. He just wants to make sure his opponent cannot get them. Because especially with the warrior monks of the Rus, they can quickly go out and snag those relics, and that is what Puppypaw is going to have to leverage. He needs to steal at least one of those relics down south, either the one on the far south or the one to the far east. One of those 2 has to fall into Puppypaw's hands. If LucifroN sits on 4 relics on a map like this, that's going to be very troublesome for Puppy.
Well, Puppypaw's picked up the first one, now bringing it back to base. This does get scouted out by LucifroN, so he knows where the attention is going to be. We now start to see some defensive walls coming up towards the north. Horse Archer numbers continue to look pretty decent, so I think at the very least he should be able to pick up 2 relics here. The third relic for LucifroN 7 has been collected now over on that west corner. It's coming through. These are the key fights in the early Castle Age. Normally this is what the focus is going to be on. But remember, there's still that High Trade House back towards the base of Puppypaw. So my question is, what numbers are we talking here? 118 gold. not bad. 125 gold. It's not bad. It's not terrible. It's 1.5 relics. It could obviously be better, but it's still it's free real estate.
It's better than I expected it would be, just based on the placement, and it's going to help a lot when it comes to offsetting the relic differential, which at this point it's going to be either a 3 versus 2 or potentially a 4 versus 1. It's really coming down to that final relic down south. And LucifroN knows that Puppypaw is heading out to pick it up because he's seen the sacred site being captured, and it looks like Puppypaw, against all odds, manages to secure the second relic for himself. That kind of brings the relic game into a fairly equal balance.
Yeah, it definitely does. So, I mean, from here, where do we go? How does this game unfold from this stage? Because this map is a little bit more defensive than you typically see. Both players quite happy, just camping out in the base. We see a couple of Janissaries here as well for LucifroN. But, you know, you mentioned earlier the fact that you liked the chances in the game that this, or in the event that this game went to Imperial Age. And I was thinking, well, Imperial Age, that's pretty far off. But now all of a sudden it seems quite a bit closer. Obviously, there's still quite a way to go, but with the way things are unfolding here, there's no reason why we don't potentially see Imperial Ages coming through in the next 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah, I feel like it's a who blinks first contest. You go into Imperial, that could easily result in your opponent just overrunning you with a Castle Age army. Now, people are building up their forces, and you could very quickly snowball a game if your opponent just commits a lot of resources into going up. So I think it's going to be kind of a wait-and-see approach from the players, slowly build things up. As you can see to the north, Puppypaw is walling up. He actually walled away that market that LucifroN was using for the initial trade. And I truly wonder if we're going to see Puppypaw committing to a trade a little sooner than usual, because that's a very, very nicely placed market, and it's going to be nice and secure.
Yeah, it's quite safe back there. And I do like the fact that he's walled it out. Obviously, the traders are still present towards that northern position. Horse Archer's out on the map, and the number continues to climb here. He's up into the higher double digits now. He's 17. That's a lot of Janissaries. Has he used Janissary Company? Can we take a look at... Actually, no, he wouldn't have used Janissary Company. He's only sitting at 1 out of 3 military schools. Can't be. So, yeah, we can see at the moment the Vizier points. So we've gone... Has he only... Is that only... That's indicating just the one Vizier point at this stage, the Imams, to start off with.
Yeah, this is turning into a scary army here for LucifroN, by the way. He's got 13 Janissaries, quite a few Sipahi, 2 Mangonels as well. On the other side, it's mostly Spearmen and Horse Archers. The traders will get trapped or killed over here. One thing to keep in mind, just real quick, is that the Horse Archers will not be able to break their way through LucifroN's walls, so the amount of eco damage that Puppypaw can do with these raids is currently very limited.
Yes, very much so. However, they do have a pretty decent matchup into these Janissaries. I'm curious to see exactly how powerful these Janissaries can be there. He's got what I love, this combination here. So the Sipahi together with the Janissary and the Mangonels. This is really like the to tie it all together. These Mangonels just make it so much more difficult for the enemy. And obviously coming out for free from the MIA makes all the difference. But now looking to deny this sacred site in the center. All 3 sacred sites have been held for quite some time here for Puppypaw. So a lot of free gold was being generated. He's got a decent size economy as well. Take a look at the amount of income that is being gathered here. 1.4k on the food, 700 a minute on the wood, and 700 a minute on the gold. So quite a lot more than what LucifroN is generating, that is for sure. All right, towards that south side, we see the sacred site being neutralized as well. LucifroN slowly cleaning up this map. He's added in the military schools as well, so he's looked to pick up that second Vizier point. He's added in that extra military campus, and that's allowed him to go up to 4 out of 4 on the military school count. Meanwhile, have a look at these units across the top. They are just pushing over towards this wooden fortress. Things not going to be going well for these villagers, I suspect, Lidicor.
Yeah, and this is something that Puppypaw has to fight, but he doesn't have a good stand-and-fight army. Horse Archers are notoriously bad when it comes to just staying static and fighting back against this. And especially with the Mangonels coming in, this might be tricky. Nice little pincer move from Puppypaw, though.
Yeah, this is absolutely beautiful. He's trying to come in off that cliffside, calls in the militia as well. There's plenty of them here. We'll get connections onto the mangonels, which is the key target in these fights. Horse archers getting chased through by the Sipahi. They're going to continue kiting, but the Janissary number is looking very scary here right now. Sitting on 19 Janissaries, the single mangonel still stays alive. Now all of a sudden, Puppypaw looks like he could be in trouble. As you mentioned, the horse archers, they're wonderful when you want to skirmish, when you need to kite. When you want to stand, when you want to fight, that's when it gets really troublesome.
And the Janissaries are just, in general, good against everything that Puppypaw has. The Spearmen are kind of bad against Janissaries. Walls need to be rushed up here real quick, but it's going to be too late, and this is turning into a disaster for Puppypaw. Looks like they might go up just in time, but the casualties are still piling up.
Yeah, he's lost quite a few villagers here. The wall does come up, so it's going to delay for the moment, but... Wow, it's going to be close. He allows him a little bit of presence up here on this eastern flank. I'm curious how much food was actually left on that board, because he was on the board for quite a while, maybe close to 2 minutes.
Wow.
Still 1,400 food on there, so that's definitely a painful loss.
A lot of idle time as well, a couple of villager casualties too, and I think most importantly, he lost his army. And now look at what LucifroN is doing. Forward Siege Workshop, double towers for the Sacred Site. He is capturing all Sacred Sites. I wonder if he's going to try to play a little bit more defensive and just force his opponent out with a Sacred Site win condition, or whether he's contemplating a dive. He is making a pivot into archers, though, which could be tricky because at the same time, Puppypaw is going into Men-at-Arms.
Yeah, I'm curious what his thoughts are here with this Siege Workshop. It is going to go down now, so... It could be that he's looking to add in potentially more mangonels, not to mention the fact he's already got 2 with a 3rd one coming out soon in the MIA. So surely he wouldn't be thinking of adding in, you know, a 4th or a 5th mangonel. So we'll keep an eye out exactly on what it is. It could be battering rams that he's thinking, or maybe even trebuchets, because you do have the Kremlin that you've got to deal with here, which it's not the hardest, but like springald emplacement can be very difficult to push into, especially on something like the Kremlin. But we can now see this army size is really starting to look scary. I love the way the composition is playing as well, and he's still using the Sipahi Janissary combo.
And he's also adding a couple of static defenses to mid-map, so he's got a very nice fallback point. This is not just an army in front of an enemy base. This is an army supported by some towers, so whenever Puppypaw wants to break out, he needs to fight into towers, into 3 mangonels, Janissaries, which are really good at holding these small choke points between the towers. It's going to be so difficult for Puppypaw to get out of his base.
Yeah, this is LucifroN really going for a death push right here, and this is definitely the culmination of everything together, because those outposts obviously going to have springald emplacements coming through shortly. He's got trebs in queue. Keep that in mind. The first treb is already out. The second treb is coming out now. And because of that, he's going to be easily able to snipe out these landmarks, and there's the potential he could threaten to actually win the game just through using these trebuchets and forcing a fight. And it's going to be a really bad fight because there's springald emplacements on those towers that are going to be coming through shortly. So LucifroN knows exactly what he's doing. This reminds me a lot of the same way we would see Mongol players playing back, gosh, when was it that we last casted Lidacor? 2022?
It was sometime in 2024, but it's been a while indeed. And I gotta agree with you. He is playing a very slow and methodical game. He is not trying to rush to finish the game, but instead just dictate a consistent, aggressive tempo. And now with multiple trebuchets coming in, Puppypaw is going to start losing production buildings. He's going to lose the Kremlin, which is his own single static defensive building that he can rely on. If there is anything that LucifroN could still do to make his game better right now, I feel is a little wall at the front of his base. His flanks are secured, and Puppypaw's horse archers cannot get through the walls. His front is still very open, though, so if Puppypaw feels desperate, he could try to dive through the middle of the entrance and just try to hit the villagers, see if he can turn things around that way.
Yeah, I think that's one of the best ways that you could get back into a position like this. But now that the springald emplacements are coming up on the front, they're going to be able to hopefully deal with this threat of mangonels. Puppypaw, of course, coming from the high ground, so it makes his job a little bit easier. Keep in mind, the Kremlin is incredibly important to keep up. Not only is it that final defensive building that he's got, but it's also got all of the tickets stacked inside it, ready to go for the militia. So Sipahi able to catch these cav archers over towards that top side. The Horse Archers now going to have to retreat away from the front line. Check back in on the south. Mangonels. It's up to 4 mangoes now. Vill's also being pulled to repair Lidicore. A lot of damage on this outpost. He's looking to fortify both of them. Whether or not it comes through in time, should be able to buy enough time here with the Sipahi, whether or not he makes the connection or not. Plenty of men-at-arms. He's going to try and commit with just about 4 Sipahi here.
The Mangonels got caught off guard here a little for LucifroN, but he was able to pull away. He's piling up a lot of resources. Makes me wonder if he wants to just drop the landmark right here, the Seagate Castle.
Yeah, that is something that we could potentially see right in the face of Puppypaw. Of course, this is already incredibly difficult to deal with. The 2 Trebs are going to slow roll all of these buildings. It's going to force his opponent to just constantly drain wood. Plenty of Ills out here in the middle as well. Beautiful map control coming out from LucifroN. Just a really hard position for Puppypaw here.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what Puppypaw could do, but his position is just so... It feels like he is handcuffed. Now, there is an interesting caveat here, Ozzy. If the overlay is not lying to us... Okay, never mind. I'm confusing the numbers. For a moment, I thought he's got 18 of the Warrior Monks. But no, that's 18 Spearmen. In that case...
18 Warrior Monks would be a lot. It does
yeah, I was going to say, if it's 18 Warrior Monks, that is an interesting setup. But no, it's just 1 Warrior Monk, a lot of men-at-arms. Now he's facing increasing amounts of crossbows, though, so I don't know how much he can actually push into this.
Yes. Yeah, I think in this position he's doing exactly what he needs to do. He's got his own trebuchets out to deal with the threat of those outposts. He's got plenty of mangonels, and there it is. 22 minutes into this game. Istanbul Observatory going down. Not quite in the face of Puppypaw as this little battle towards the north unfolds. Towards the middle of the map, though, so it's still a decent spot, a powerful spot. He's going to be looking... What's he looking for an Imperial Egg? What are the key things that he's looking for there?
It's an interesting placement in the first place. It's very much out in the open. Just tells you how confident LucifroN is about his position. And somehow, some way, Puppypaw senses that something is going on. This is such an interesting thing to look at. Lucy starts building a landmark. There was no vision from Puppypaw on that. But the moment that happens, he starts moving out of his base, as if he just sensed that there is something going on, perhaps because LucifroN pulled back. And now he knows that he needs to fight this before the upgrades come in.
Yeah, and those upgrades that are coming through, we've got Elite Sipahi on the way, as well as the Great Bombard. It is in queue, I'm assuming, at the MIA. So it is going to be, well, it's going to be a transformative Imperial Age, that is for sure for LucifroN. Quite a lot of units due to be upgraded here. He's up to 30 Sipahi, so this is going to be a huge amount of boosting that goes onto those units. Hypebarn's also going to be coming through as well for LucifroN, so looking to maximize that eco. But once again, these villagers over on the boar not having a good day, are they? They've been hit multiple times here as we see those bodies fade into the ground. Sipahi just having a field day.
This is an interesting setup here for Puppypaw, by the way, and LucifroN knows that. On this map, you would think it's a very campy and turtley map because it's easy to wall, but you run out of resources within your base so quickly, especially food. So unless Puppypaw makes a farm transition, he's going to be desperate to move out to that boar. He's actually moving out to the berries to the north as well. He needs to make something like that happen. And LucifroN knows that. He's trying to just deny all these resources. It's going to be a little bit more challenging now that those walls are up for Puppypaw, though. He's certainly playing this trench warfare style.
Yeah, very much so. The unit number continues to build, though. We do see Janissary guns coming through, so he's really looking to maximize these upgrades as much as he can. But as you mentioned, this wall is slowly going down. Puppypaw with a very nice wall on the front here to protect against those Sipahi. Look at them now as they charge forward. They've got their elite upgrades. You can always tell when they've got their elite upgrades there. They look quite distinguished as soon as their Imperial Age. Megadon numbers looking very good for Puppypaw as well. It feels like we're seconds away from watching these two collide. Let's go with collide, Litter.
If it's on Puppypaw, he wants to avoid that from happening because he's looking to age up, and this could be a great timing for LucifroN. Just when Puppypaw is thinking about aging, the dive comes in. The men-at-arms are very tanky, though, and they provide a really good front line to all these backline mangonels.
Yeah, the main thing I'm looking out for here are these mangonels off the top rope. We can see the amount of damage that they're putting out here, taking out all the springalds on the back, all of the mangoes. for LucifroN as well, but the elite Sipahi able to tank through a lot of it, despite the strength of the men-at-arms, as you mentioned. For Puppypaw, he's just getting absolutely rinsed, and now the Sipahi make the connection. But finally the militia come through. I've been sitting here wondering, where are these damn militia? They're a little bit late for the call. Unfortunately, it's all said and done now at this stage.
Yeah, if these militia were in the initial fight, this would have been totally different. Nice mangonel shots right here, but really the problem that you faced was that you didn't have a unit that does a lot of damage to Sipahi. The men-at-arms, they slowly chip away at the HP, and the mangonels were targeting down the backline units, but still, with good splits, LucifroN was able to keep them alive. Second wind here for Puppypaw, but again, the front line is just melting away way too quick.
Yeah, as we can see, the Sipahi just once again overwhelming. It's part of the reason why it's so damn good. Quick unit. It's also quite a bit tanky and just got plenty of ways. I mean, it's got that extra range, it's got that extra attack speed. It's just, it is just an incredibly powerful unit. But now, pushing forward the Janissaries together with the Sipahi and just a single Springle, looking to force back all of these Rus units. And LucifroN looking incredibly strong at this stage of the game. There's really not much here to help defend other than the Kremlin. That's pretty much it. Puppypaw very much struggling to capitalize in this situation. Where does he go from here, other than the next game, Liticor?
I wish I had a different answer to you, Ozzy, but I don't think I do. It's a full age differential, and while people was thinking about aging, he had to double down on Castle Age because he's got no standing army. So now he is an age behind, and he knows that he's going to tap out of this one, and LucifroN moves up 2-0.
Yes, LucifroN doing very well in that game, taking the victory here against Puppypaw. So it was all going well until it wasn't, and then it was not going well very, very quickly. So we take a look at the military lead. Once again, you can see the difference that LucifroN is having. So LucifroN jumping up to a 2-0 lead already in this series. So things are definitely starting to heat up here. Puppypaw's going to have to pull out big civilizations if he wants to contest in the next game.
Well, and if he doesn't contest in the next game, it's going to be all over for him, because this is going to be his last shot to qualify for Red Bull Wololo Londinium. It's now or never, and it's going to be an uphill battle. He's down 2 games. And I just have to say, LucifroN has been cooking in this specific round, which is somewhat surprising when you consider how the previous rounds went for him in the qualifier event. Just looking back, first week of the qualifiers, he lost in the round of 16s to Balthoon. Second week of the qualifiers, he loses to Anatan in the quarterfinals. Third week, he once again loses in the first round. He never even made it into the semifinals of the qualifier event. And now you're looking at a setup where he's up 2-0 and getting very, very close to playing the decider and having a chance of qualifying for London.
Yeah, and not to mention he's up against one of the favorites for the event, I would say. Puppypaw, his recent form has been incredible, but of course, LucifroN just turning on the heat today, so doing a wonderful job so far here. You can see some great highlights from that last game. I tell you what, I think things may have been different in this game if there had been militia called right here in this big fight that's happening. You know, if there's militia to take the brunt of this attack, because that's really what it came down to. It just came down to attrition and the fact that the Sipahi were able to stay alive through a lot of this. And, I mean, the militia just would have done absolute work. So, yeah, disappointing that they weren't out on time. But I guess it's something to consider as we move forward into the next game, because obviously Puppypaw will be doing his best to make sure a mistake like that does not happen again.
Yeah, I don't know if the militia would have been enough to win the battle for him, but I agree with you, it would have helped quite a bit. It was still an age differential between the two players, and it was a nice timing by LucifroN, though. That timing push just happened just when Puppypaw was thinking about aging. But we have a big one here, and Puppypaw, if he wants to have a chance in this series, he's going to have a civilization to play with. Malians, one of the most frequently banned civilizations of the entire tournament, and that is for a reason. And interestingly, he opted to go for Malians and Byzantines, and LucifroN sniped away Byzantines from him, opening the door to play Malians here.
Yes, an interesting choice, isn't it? Leaving the Malians on the table. I mean, Byzantines obviously still very, very strong potential in a game like this, on a map like this. Dry Arabia, very open, So, yeah, Malians are definitely going to be a highlight here. I'm looking forward to seeing how they go, how aggressive they get out of the gates. But, of course, up against no slouch, the Aobids, another civilization that does incredibly well on these open maps. What kind of strategy will we potentially see out of LucifroN today? I suspect aggression. It's normally aggression from this guy.
Yes, as you would expect, he played 2 sub-30-minute games so far. And Aobids really have a great aggression potential. And just as a extra added flavor, Camel Lancers are a very powerful unit. One of the craziest units in the game, I feel. High mobility, good against most units, except for maybe Spearmen. And I think what makes them special is that they also have an anti-cavalry bonus. There are very few cavalry units which are anti-cav, high mobility, and also do generally well when it comes to raiding and when it comes to fighting archers. It's such a rare combination of traits for that unit. And when you consider that LucifroN is one of the best Knight Micro players in the game, Camel Lancers in his hands are just absolutely deadly.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be an interesting battle, that is for sure. LucifroN, he's just known for his micro. And the fact that he's going to be able to constantly abuse that charge, we'll be looking out for it. But about a minute to go into it, Lidicor. All right, I'm doing it again. Which way is it going? Is it going for the Malians? Is it going for the Aobids? Is there one civilization here that is a little bit more favored than the other, you suspect?
I like the Malians more. And the statistics kind of reinforce that point. There's a reason why Malians are so frequently banned. And I just feel like when it comes to the Malians, the classic Javelin Thrower plus Dunso combination is something that is incredibly difficult to deal with. It's one of the deadliest simple compositions, not an expensive composition to go for, and it just works so well against most civilizations. Plus, and I think this is a huge thing here, Malians have a lot of passive resource income, which makes economy raiding a lot more difficult. And when it comes to a player like LucifroN, his bread and butter is aggression, hitting the eco, and raiding that economy. Passive resource income offsets a lot of that advantage in LucifroN's hands. I like Malians here a lot more, Ozzy.
All right, well, let's see how it goes. Not long before we get started, Lidicor, heading into game number 3. This is do or die right now for Puppypaw. He has to win this game. In fact, not only does he have to win this game, he's got to win the next 3 because Lidicor, it's a best of 5. This is a 2-0 so far for LucifroN. Let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. Spawning in the south of the map, in the color red, at least for the moment in the color red. Playing as the Malians, it's Puppypaw.
And to the north, we do have LucifroN up 2-0 against Puppy here. He's playing as the Aobids in yellow.
All right, it's going to be a good one. It's going to be fun. We've got Dry Arabia, an open map, a map famed for, I guess it's just general aggression. The fact you can be very aggressive on a map like this. A lot of people enjoy it. I in particular, love this map. I adore this map. And there's some great little things that we can now see on our mini-map to the bottom right-hand corner. Of course, it's going to be our focus. We can see all of the sheep and their beautiful Roblox-esque, Minecraft-esque appearance. Okay, I've just been told by Cow that it's Minecraft sheep. Excuse me, Cow. Sorry.
I feel personally offended that you don't recognize Minecraft sheep.
I want to make a comment here about not being like a... What's this? What's this? What are they called? Like the brain rot generation or something like that? But look, I think Minecraft was out in like 2006. But anyway, we've got ourselves the House of Wisdom.
I played Minecraft 11 years ago, buddy. What are you talking about?
Was MSNTK even born then? I don't think he was. Anyway, we move on. We move forward without trying to avoid strays going to MSNTK. Sorry, MSN. He's a good gamer. He's a good gamer. Anyway, so yeah, this is really do or die for Puppypaw. So we're going to be paying keen attention to exactly how he plays this game out. Of course, LucifroN now with the House of Wisdom down. Which way is he going to go for the age up, Litter?
Good question. Before I answer that, certainly not to just stall because I don't have an idea on how to answer that. I was just going to say how interesting it is that both the players decided to scout the edges of the map for the sheep, and no one dared to go to the middle and pick up any of those stacks. They're just now heading out for the middle sheep.
It's that classic Dry Arabia sheep distribution that we see there. But the age-ups are coming through right now. Logistics is going to be the way for LucifroN. So looking to pick up those early Dervish. Hopefully should be able to transition him into the Castle Age. And that'll all be the key thing for him today, LucifroN. He wants to get to that Castle Age. He needs to get to that Castle Age to really be able to create a dent in this Malian presence on the field. Mansa Quarry now going to get thrown down for Puppypaw here as well.
All right, it's a logistics opening here for Lucy. He loves to call down his religious workers in Feudal Age. I've just noticed that. If you look back at the previous game as well, he pulled the Imam card. And just when he hit Castle Age, he was able to start yoinking relics. He kind of can do the same thing with the Iobits here.
Indeed he can. Unfortunately, it was the Delhi Sultanate in Puppypaw's hands in Game 1, so we can't say he got the trifecta in. But who knows? Maybe there's the potential for a Holy Roman... There's not going to be any Holy Roman Empire today, don't worry. But yeah, anyway. All right, so not long to go until age-ups are coming through. I suspect we're probably going to see quite a bit of aggression out here from Puppypaw, though it could be a little bit more cow-oriented. He has been known to enjoy cows. We see the woodline, the lumber camp being put down on the woodline at the moment. So far, off to a bit of a slow start. No one really pulling any... Well, no one throwing any punches that we didn't expect, Litter.
Yeah, I did not expect much of an aggression from this Dark Age, or dare I say even early Feudal. Which is kind of uncharacteristic of how LucifroN usually plays his games. This is certainly going to be a slightly slower game than what we've seen in the first two.
Alright, Scout moving out. Spots the Dervishes, immediately aware of exactly what is going on here. We see Wheelbarrow now in queue as well for Puppypaw. Nothing on the side of LucifroN just yet. But villager distribution, he's got 12 vills on food, 2 villagers on gold. So hasn't done the full transition over to gold just yet.
I wonder what the Dervishes are up to here.
They're having a look. They've got the ability to heal, so I guess they can take damage. But they now... Is he potentially looking to maybe get this scout under the TC, get a little bit more information? He's really getting aggressive with them, though, isn't he?
It feels like it's just for vision here, or perhaps if there is anyone who's just trying to push away that scout. Now it's getting interesting, because now you have a Desert Raider on the way. And suddenly it becomes an interesting scenario. You see the response to the little harassment from the scout is just ARAX. You're going to have a range as well. But when you have the healers up there, it allows you to take these mini engagements and just always win them. In a 1v1, yes. When you have 2 healers healing you, there's no way that a single spearman is going to push you away.
And that's exactly it. It can be so annoying and frustrating to deal with because there's literally nothing that you can do about that single unit. Even if you make a second unit, you're still going to probably get out-healed. See the Donzo now beginning to move forward. Desert Raider here to assist and slowly begin working down these houses. It's gonna take some time, but they'll get there eventually. He's just got the one out for the moment. He's looking for a Castle Age behind it as well, and he'll find a good time today as well. Almost, is it sitting at about 66% of the way in both of these metrics. Now Desert Raider going to take some damage here. Switches out over to the melee. You can see just how much damage he's going to take from that Donzo. So he's going to look to try and continue kiting here as the heals come through. Now keep in mind we need to make sure that our Dervish are positioned for Castle Age. That's something that we need to be aware of. So we can't 100% commit to this little fight, but Donzo's able to repel it for the moment.
All that Lucy wanted is that single house. He took a little damage on the Desert Raider, and that's probably the math that he came up with for the Dervishes. If it wasn't for the Dervishes, the Desert Raider would have had to leave a little sooner before the house goes down. By having the healers out there, he was able to finish off that one house. But again, that's not the main show here. The main show is aging up the Castle Age, and he's going to have a really, really good timing over here. Malians tend to be slower going up the Castle Age simply because they have to build up that base for the passive resource income. So LucifroN is just going to say, okay, I'm going to rush Castle Age, and I already have the 2 Dervishes, so I can start picking up relics immediately.
We do see a bit of aggression coming out towards this gold vein, and naturally LucifroN realizes he falls back. Age up is coming through at the moment. It is industry. It has changed since the Abids were originally first released. Of course, as balance happens, it does evolve. So this has become the meta more recently, in the last couple of months, it's been something that we've seen as standard here. So a whole bunch of wood, some stone going to be thrown down as well. So you can expect to see a town center and plenty of production, but manages to keep the Desert Raider alive for the moment. Beautiful heals coming through. 57 seconds to go to get those Dervish into position for the Relic snipes.
Such a nice little micro game, and I feel like what you're seeing on your screen right now is literally how LucifroN loves to play this game. Teeny tiny mini engagements to carve out a small lead and then just absolutely obliterate you at minute 25.
Exactly, and it's one of those things where it's like it just continues over the whole game, where he's just always carving out a small lead, and so it just gets bigger and bigger as he continues carving. And well, as you can see, he's adding in a second Desert Raider now, and there's been quite a few Donzos that have been taken out throughout this game. How many has he lost already? Probably 6 or 7.
Not a single unit lost so far by LucifroN, by the way. If you look at the destroyed value, he's destroyed 400 resources worth of value for absolutely no losses.
There you go. Yeah, so we've got 5. So Industry about to come through. Have a look at the resource count. Top right-hand corner. Boom. 1,000 wood, 400 stone immediately into the bank of LucifroN 7. A welcome shipment. He'll be quite thankful from the home city. Tell you what, whenever I say home city, I go back to Age of Empires 3 and just think of like sending myself 2 falconets and just having flashbacks to GUA, the good old days. Right,
yeah, I'm not gonna comment on that.
Relic's getting picked up. So we're sitting on what? I think that's 2 relics. Oh no, the first relic has just been picked up for LucifroN. It looks like he's gone for that right-hand side relic. Aggression is starting to come out now for Puppypaw, so LucifroN's done well to get up to the castle age, but whether or not he's able to maintain unscathed throughout this is going to be the question, as Puppypaw is obviously quite aggressive. A lot of units out here. He's looking to try and control as much as he can. Wants to avoid losing the Dervish.
It must be said, so far we've been talking about these little micro battles that LucifroN was taking, but there is a second side to that, and that is the fact that it's not like he has a huge army. And when you look at Puppy, he doubles down on the feudal aggression. Javelin throwers have a really nice range. They've been harassing the lumberjacks of LucifroN quite a bit. And they've done a decent job trying to contain these dervishes. You're gonna have 2 relics come in for LucifroN, but one of those 2 is actually the one he had next to his base. So the other 3, which are kind of mid-map and one next to the base of Puppypaw, it's gonna be difficult for LucifroN to just take those away. He no longer has the army to really escort these dervishes.
And that's exactly it. This is a huge army in the feudal age for Puppypaw here. Now the question becomes about transition. Does he look to still double down in this feudal age and add more military units, or does he go for a potential castle age transition himself? His base is looking quite healthy, up to 9 cows. I love the fact that we can see that on the UI, so shout out to Cow for that one. But yeah, 9 cows so far, which is a decent amount. Control, still looking really good. Men-at-arm number also starting to build though. Oh, sorry, the Gulam number.
This is the interesting dynamic that you have with the Malians. Donzos and Javelin throwers are not particularly expensive, so you can start sending those out in feudal and be aggressive, and at the same time still build that passive resource income. He is going to have to age eventually, but I think the sweet spot here for LucifroN is trying to strike again just as Puppy is aging. He's still committing a lot of resources to just building up the passive resource income, and oh boy, LucifroN comes away with that relic. I was just talking about the fact that he doesn't have the forces to escort these dervishes, but he certainly managed to sneak one out.
Yes, and you can now start to see Puppypaw is in hot pursuit along that north edge of the map. He knows that there's something up there. And of course, the wolf now also giving chase, so it becomes a certainty that, hey, there is a relic on the loose out here. A heist has been committed. And now the question is going to be about whether or not Puppypaw can make LucifroN pay.
As an added side note, Puppypaw went a lot heavier on the upgrade side of things. He's gotten Lumberjack upgrade, he's gotten Wheelbarrow, he's got some Blacksmith upgrades. These upgrades are just now coming in for LucifroN. So Puppypaw was certainly going for a more eco-heavy route, and this is a nice little raid here. LucifroN has the Gulams out there, but it's not like the Gulams can catch any of these guys. Puppypaw can just run away.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And he's going to try that now, but we're starting to see a bit more of a combination. Relic also being brought out as well. He's really going to try and throw down right here, right now, forcing those units away. Managed to get through. no issues for the moment, except for the fact those Gulams are just slowly melting through the Malian army. LucifroN's definitely stabilized. We can say that right now for certain. He is stabilized 100% here. Managed to collect... How many relics is he sitting on? He's sitting on 3 at the moment, with that 4th one still available in the middle of the map.
Yeah, what's worrisome for LucifroN is the food income. He's got 200 per minute. He got pushed away from those berries. And he apparently tried to go into Camel Lancers. With that food income, you cannot really do that. And now Puppypaw is aging. Grand Fulani Corrales coming in. He's got a decent amount of passive food income. And it's not like LucifroN is in that position to punish this age up, which I think is a distinct difference between this game and what we've seen in the previous games.
Yeah, I agree. He's also keeping decent control back here as well, denying away these Dervish. Puppypaw is from picking up this back relic. He's trying to snipe it away and steal it once again. He's obviously been successful once, so wants to try his luck a second time. Not able to find it. Grand Fulani Corral about 10 seconds out now. Let's check in with the Grand Fulani Corral. I want to see exactly how it's positioned and how many cows we've got around it. So up to 15 cows at the moment. Still got plenty of space there to add in a little bit more. But this is a nice little middle ground. You know, for me, litter, I always find that I have to build the 20 cows before I age up. Like, it's an illegal move to age up before having 20 cows. So I'm just going to commend Puppypaw here right now on the fact that he is very clearly not autistic by the fact that he hasn't built all of those cows just yet. But I'm sure he'll build them eventually.
He's going to have to build that eventually, that is for sure. But I like that he's aging up much sooner than finishing it. Because, again, eventually LucifroN's going to have that Castle Age army with Castle Age upgrades ready to go. You cannot wait until the last minute to age up and expect to also finish your own upgrades. So, yeah, he's sacrificing a little eco boost here at the beginning, but at the same time, he is going to have those Castle Age techs in. And at the same time, LucifroN is playing a very, very defensive game here. He's walling up, little aggression, very uncharacteristic of him so far.
Yes, yeah, I think walls are the most uncharacteristic LucifroN thing, aren't they? He's typically very, very aggressive, not a whole lot of defense on the side, but we do now see that 4th, and I'm going to call it the final relic picked up for him. This is kind of what we expected, you know, like, I don't think anyone reasonably expects he gets that 5th relic, so this is pretty much the final relic that he'll get. He's up to 1,000 food a minute now, so that's more than enough to be able to support the Camel Lancers that we start to see on the field. Of course, they're going to do incredibly well here against the Sofa. The Sofa is just one of those units that's so frustrating to deal with. It's so powerful. It's got all these upgrades, and we now see, in fact, the imported armor coming through for the Sofa Warriors, but they're just going to be met so well with the Aobid Camel Lancer. It's just going to have all the answers to the questions that get thrown out by the Malians.
I think the imported armor upgrade is one of the most powerful buffs to any given unit type in this game. It just makes Sofas a totally different unit from what they are without. And that is really the power spike that you get with the Malians. You have a very powerful food and gold economy, and a super powerful and affordable cavalry unit. Usually that is where the Malian war machine really starts rolling.
Well, it will begin rolling very, very soon, and you're 100% on the money. I mean, when it comes to the power of upgrades, like, the imported armor upgrade is probably one of the best in the game when you think about it. Like, comparably, there's, like, the English have the men-at-arm upgrade, iron cladding or armor cladding. Nowhere near as powerful, even though it's obviously a very similar upgrade, +2 for a key unit. The Sofa, as a knight unit, is just, it gets so much more value from it, and it's so easy to get. It's a cheap upgrade. It's just, it's one of the best in the game. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of power that we now start to see that Puppypaw uses to flex here. He's up to 12 Sofa Warriors now. Meanwhile, 10 Camel Lancers coming out for LucifroN.
This is going to be the problem here for Puppypaw. In any given game, Sofas with that kind of an armor would be awesome, but you're facing Camel Lancers, and Camel Lancers will just absolutely massacre the Sofas. However, there is probably an even bigger upgrade coming in here for Puppypaw, which... we had this conversation about which upgrade gives the biggest buff to a specific unit type. I have to say Poison Arrows is also very much a top-tier upgrade. It's coming in right now for Puppy, and Puppy has been building up a force of 30 archers now. Once you have Poison Arrows on them, the Camel Lancers will really struggle against that, and all LucifroN can do is essentially make his own archers and trade against those archers.
Yeah, we'll see what the play is going to be here for him. He's opting for a little bit more of a siege-focused army. So we see the 2 mangonels that are coming out for him now. Just looking at the UI, is it just me or does the UI not show those mangonels? They are ghost mangonels. Don't worry, they are real, and they can hurt you.
They are certainly real. UI doesn't show them. But now, Puppypaw knows fully well that they are here, and this is a nice little raid by Puppy. That's the sofas coming in. And no one near the base of LucifroN to help defend. So much idle time is being forced on him.
All right, well, yes. I mean, it's a classic case of LucifroN not walling enough. You know, we were talking about the fact that he actually walled this game. He left that one opening over towards the east of the base. You can hear the Aeobid villagers calling out. It's one of the 467 voice lines that they've got, according to Age of Noob. It is a lot of voice lines that they've got, but that's one of the favorites that we hear.
Big push coming in through the middle, though. Puppypaw is just waiting for his opponent to dive and tries to clean up this army. Remember, he knows that he idled out his opponent's economy quite a bit, but that's where these manganiques come into play. They can take out buildings so fast. And Puppypaw is actually housed. He lost all of the houses to the front, so he cannot really pop out more military units right now. He's got 9 sofas in queue. None of them are able to pop out of the stables.
Yeah, those sofas towards the north, they appear to be running through a whole bunch of villages. I know we've got a fight happening right now, but just keep in mind that there's villages that are, indeed going to be going down today.
He didn't notice.
Yes.
He did not notice.
Well. If he survives this push right now, he wins this game, just based on the fact, okay, he finally gets picked up by LucifroN. It's taken some time. It's forced him off the food. It'll help delay, but now pushing down towards that south side. They've committed 100% here. The poisoned arrows are through. Manganique's getting off some decent shots, but not really doing a whole lot of damage. Sofa Warriors towards the front. I'm starting to struggle. Where are these Camel Lancers? Well, they've been eaten alive by the archers. All sacred sites now taken for LucifroN, but I don't know how much it's going to really change things here. It all comes down to the front right now as Puppypaw is up more than 20, almost 20 economic units in this game. Puppypaw having a thrilling game here on the defense. Beautiful splits on the micro as well, Lidicor. Look at him right now. He's looking like a gymnast.
And it's a cleanup. It's a costly fight for Puppypaw, but given that he killed 29 villagers in this game, this might just be it. If it wasn't for the raids, this could still be an open game, but with that being done, there's just nowhere for LucifroN to go. His eco is gone, and Puppypaw is not going down without a fight. He is going to put the first point for himself on the board.
What a great time to do it as well. It's always good to see exciting games like that, especially when it's all on the line, but Puppypaw bringing it back and leaving the possibility open for a reverse sweep. Let's see how he's able to do it. Military value lead, we can see right there at the end just how much that swing happened. I tell you what, I don't know where it went wrong for LucifroN. Everything looked like it was going fine, and then all of a sudden, it wasn't.
It's always tricky to match up against that composition of the Malians. That mid-Castle Age is probably the best timing for Malians. Sofas with imported armor, archers with poison arrows, a strong economy. That is literally the best time for the Malians to be in a game. And of course, at the same time, all of this happened while he was a little slow reacting to the villagers being lost. He didn't notice immediately. He was probably focused on the fight itself. Perhaps he didn't get the notification or just overlooked it. Either way, by the time he started pulling away villagers, he already lost like 7 or 8.
Yeah, there was a lot of dead villagers, that is for sure. And like even at this point, he's only killed 10. So despite the fact that he realizes and he sees this, there's still so many villagers that are going down throughout this fight. You can see on the minimap, I think they're hitting a gold vein now. And that Vil count just continues to fall. And I think it's the combination of both. Like, you can probably lose this fight here and still say, all right, we can try and stay in this game. But when you lose this fight and you lose half your economy, yeah, there's only 2 letters that need to be typed.
L, O, and L, or what?
G and its cousin G. They work well together. All right, well, we've got game number 4 coming up, Lidicor. They've left the last map to be King of the Hill. We're going to Front Range, and we've got 2 fun civilizations. 2 civilizations I love a lot. Macedonians, of course, and the Japanese.
Boy. First new DLC civilization that we're seeing today here, apparently. And as a side note, it looks like LucifroN really wants to bring out the Golden Horde. He's tried that on Dry Arabia. It got taken away. And now he's trying that on front range as well. Or perhaps it's just a bait. You never know that. But he's been trying to get Golden Horde on for quite a while. Makes a lot of sense, because if you think about it, I don't really see Golden Horde being an amazing option for King of the Hill.
I like the idea that it's just bait. And you just, you know, imagine if you left one of the best civs open for your opponent, say as an example, the Golden Horde, and they just kept trying to pick it, and you just kept banning it. And then it guarantees that they only get the one civ, but then it probably works against you because they'd catch on to it. Anyway, we got a fun matchup. Japanese, the Macedonians. I think we may potentially see some Dark Age stuff here. I've been playing a little bit of ladder recently, Lidicore, and one of the things I noticed about the Japanese is just how annoying they can be in the Dark Age. They can be frustrating. They got some strong units in the Dark Age, so we'll keep an eye out for that. How do you think it's going to go down?
Well, I don't think your Silver League experience is relevant for pro games, but sure. I'm just
Actually,
kidding.
It's Gold League, just so you know. It's gold.
Oh, that's higher than I ever got.
I'm just kidding. Oh, gosh.
Anyway.
All right, well, yes. We'll see whether or not it matches up. We could potentially see some Silver League Samurai Rushes today. We'll keep an eye out for them.
One thing that's going to be very fun on front range is line of sight. You have a lot of the outposts that you can capture for line of sight, and it's always an interesting dynamic when you have the ability to see half of the map. It just makes it so much more difficult to get those raids going. And it will certainly make it much more difficult to have an instance of what we've seen in the previous game, where Puppy just comes in with a bunch of cav, and then, boom, there goes 20 villagers.
Yeah. It's one of those things. There's always the potential. I mean, I'm thinking about the Macedonians right now, and they've obviously gone from like this S-tier civilization that was just absolutely amazing, and they've fallen off the wagon quite a bit. I think they're still quite potent, and we can see that they were banned out here today. They do obviously finally make it through, but it's towards the tail end. So the power level's just really not the same that it was. Are we going to see a potential Radari mass, perhaps? Is it just going to be early Varangian guards, potentially? We've got 18 seconds to go. Lidicore, which way is it going down? Pick one. I'll give you $10 to put on it.
I'm gonna go broke by the end of the day, Aussie. I would love to see even for the Macedonians, mostly because it's the new kid on the block, or the new civ on the block. But let's see what happens. Well, Puppypaw needs a win here to stay alive with the Japanese. Let's see how this game transpires on front range as we head into game number 4.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to game number 4. Two incredibly strong players looking to vie it out on front range. Spawning in the south of the map in the color red, playing as the Japanese. It's Puppypaw.
And on the other side of the map, we have LucifroN playing as the yellow Macedonians. A lot of civilizations, Aussie, in this series that are frequently banned, but they were left open. This includes Macedonians, but also the Malians from the previous game, Ottomans from the game before. So these players certainly feel like their preferred civilizations, or the preferred civilizations for their opponents, are slightly different from what you commonly see in most matchups.
Yeah, which I think is something that you'd expect, right? Like, for me, when I think of LucifroN, I think of the French. And, yeah, obviously, so you're going to see players banning out the French a lot more against LucifroN than you would somebody who... I guess Louis MT is probably someone who I wouldn't think about as playing the French as much. But, yes, we do see that. And have a look at this. Very, very cheeky by Puppypaw early on, forcing away that 1 of 3 deer outside the wall, making sure it stays outside the wall, and just leaving it on the ground outside the wall. Says, if you want to gather it, it's fine. You're going to have to either A, delete this wall, or B, build another mill out here, or C, have a long walk as you gather up this venison.
I would be so mad if that happened to me. I'd be like,
yeah.
you cannot do this to me. I'm just trying to play a video game, and you literally make my villagers walk 7 seconds around those walls just to pick up the food.
If this was ranked, 100%, that's it. You're just resigning at that point. Because it's just one of those things where it's like, I shouldn't have let that happen. And I don't know why I did, but it's happened now, and now I've got no other option. I've just got to go next. Right. Speaking of going next, Kura Storehouse coming down for Puppypaw as he goes to the next stage shortly.
I love the Kura Storehouse as a landmark.
Yeah.
Koka Township has its uses, especially on hybrid maps for the Shinobi, but the Kura Storehouse is a sneaky good landmark. It gives you passive wood income at the beginning, but more importantly, it eases that burden of the farm transition. It is immensely valuable when you get a bunch of farms for free, so you do not have to sharp transition from your food income from deer or berries to farms very, very quickly. You have a much smoother transition, and I think that's so much valuable, or there's so much value in that.
I agree. I absolutely love it for that reason. The fact that it smooths that transition, it guarantees that you're going to have farms in the event that you run out of food, in the event that you get raided, in the event that you get pushed back away from those food sources that you're on, you've got that fallback, and it's a guarantee. It's always there. It's not like the English farms where they're cheaper, so they're a bit easier to make. There is no barrier to entry on these farms. They're always there for you, and that's one of the things I love about them. It's a safety net. But it's not the only good landmark, that is for sure. We've got the Imperial Hippodrome, another good landmark that is coming up now for LucifroN 7. Both players looking to age up around the same time, a little bit after that 4-minute mark. It'll be happening. Tawara coming through for Puppypaw early on in this game. And we'll check in with LucifroN as he now begins to put down the war camp.
Hippodrome, kind of expected over here. Obviously, you're going to get your freebie cavalry over here. And I think this is a good time to mention, especially for those people that might have been away from the game for some time. When it comes to the Macedonians versus the Byzantines, even though both of those landmarks are the Hippodrome, they actually feature a different set of benefits, which is a brand new addition, actually, with this DLC. Beforehand, the same landmark always did the same thing for a given civilization and its variant, but that's no longer the case with the Macedonians and the Byzantines.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of variance here for them, but we do now start to see progress happening here as the first of the horsemen are now out for LucifroN. This is an early horseman, 4 minutes and 40. It's going to make its way down towards the south side of the map. Let's talk a little bit about this map. Front range. What's the main goal when it comes to this map, Political?
To win. No, it's I think one of the key things.
I guess that's a decent goal.
Well, that's the number one goal above all. But one thing to keep in mind is that you have a lot of gold on the northern side of the map, and you have all the outposts that you can capture for vision. Now, some of those gold deposits are smaller than usual. They're only 1,600 gold each. But still, when you look at your starting base, you have very, very little gold to work with. So you're going to have to progressively expand to the north and secure those gold deposits. If you cannot do that, it's going to be very difficult to play a long game on this map.
One of the things to remember about smaller gold deposits versus larger ones is that there becomes a lot less incentive to put down things like keeps on them. Often we'll see players on Dry Arabia, when it gets to the mid-game, they'll put a keep down on the large gold vein, and that keeps it safe. Whereas on a map like this, where you've got these smaller deposits, it makes a lot less sense. And that's a really important thing, considering how defensive this map, or at least the north side of this map, is. These large walls in here prevent it. But speaking of walls, we've now got ourselves a little bit of action towards this east corner of the map as the Umabena tries to make its way through. Horsemen on the south side are going to be doing the same thing, one hitting the gold villages, the other hitting the berry gathering villages.
Super aggro game in here. The previous one was a very slow start. This one is going to be a super intense one. Uma Bannerman, obviously, a knight-style unit with deflective armor. Really good power at the beginning of Feudal Age, just for harassment purposes. And of course, on the other side, you're going to slowly get that special horseman for the Macedonians, for LucifroN. That's going to help quite a bit when it comes to harassing the enemy eco. So far, Puppy is going very aggressive, though. 4 horsemen out on the field already.
Yeah, we're seeing quite a few units out for our Japanese players. So not playing that standard Castle Age style that we typically see out of the Japanese. Though I'm sure that we will be making a pit stop to the Castle Age. Probably won't be so much of a pit stop. Probably be more of a destination, really. But meanwhile, over for LucifroN. Almost losing this scout. Definitely losing this scout now. Puppypaw able to take it out.
It's important that LucifroN has the special scout as well, because without that, he would very much be blind and not have an insight into what's actually going on the map. And losing your scout so early in the game is a huge hindrance. You're going to have no idea if your opponent is making a tech switch or if your opponent is aging up. So having that extra scout is actually a benefit here. He could actually afford to lose the old one.
Indeed. Now a little bit of deflection coming in once again. A single arrow popping that deflective armor. And for the moment, Puppypaw just backing on out. Starting to add in some Yumi archers now. He's got one on the field, a second one getting added in as well. So it looks like we might just be opening up with a 1-1-1, a classic 1-1-1. One barracks, one stable, one archery range. You know who that reminds me of, Liticor, don't you?
I do. Although I feel like at this point, this is a build that everybody's going to be kind of open to. A lot of techs coming in here, by the way, from both players. If you take a look, both Blacksmith and Eco upgrades, they're certainly investing a lot into their technological development. It's not just a full-on unit spam and aggression.
Yes, yeah, it's good to see that we've got that little bit of variance coming through here. More upgrades on the way as well for LucifroN. Take a look at this. We've got the first of the Cav armor upgrades, which is kind of stock standard that you get. We've now got the increased melee infantry armor, which is going to be coming through now. The buttered chainmail. Is there potential for us to see early Varangian guards? Probably not. I mean, ever since they got nerfed, I don't think I've seen a single Macedonian game with an early Varangian guard. But who knows? Maybe we see it mixed up a little bit today for LucifroN.
It could be an interesting choice because you're up against mostly Yumi, and those Yumi archers have not been buffed by an archer bannerman. So they're very, very weak at the beginning of the game. Even the early Varangians could do quite well against them. I just feel like right now the game is leaning more towards a faster tempo where cavalry is a benefit, and I just feel like Varangians are a big investment at this point of the game. Side note here, before we advance, is that Puppy has captured the tower to the north of LucifroN's base, so he does have insight on whether LucifroN is trying to swing north. Look at the vision difference between these two. LucifroN actually has a very, very small amount of vision.
It's interesting how neither player has explored that north to west corner at all. So it is a dead man's zone all the way up on that top side. But now Horsemen moving around this gold vein. There's not much left on it. You can tell just by how decrepit it's looking. The early Varangian guards did indeed arrive. A couple of them out. Just the two. Definitely enough to be annoying, all those Yumi archers, but once again the Horseman looking to make a connection. And Puppypaw behind this, he's going to be going Castle Age. 700 gold in the bank.
This could be an interesting timing because LucifroN is not in a position to really punish this. He's all the way back inside his base, and we just discussed he's got limited vision, so I wonder if he's going to sense that Puppy is aging. Puppy could easily get away with this.
Yeah, it can be very hard when you don't have the actual scout. I mean, normally there's two things that you'd be doing. Number one would be aging up, or number two would be massing units. I guess technically you could also do something like build town centers, but it's not as popular as it once used to be. Hopefully we see a TC buff coming through soon. But Floating Gate is going to be dropped down here for Puppypaw. 55 seconds, and he'll be into the Castle Age. He'll be looking to undoubtedly pick up some mounted samurai.
He really needs to get away with that bannerman, but that's going to be difficult. A lot of these cavalry are low HP, and a bannerman is probably going to fall. Indeed, it does. Nice little snipe, and I think the fact that Puppy is not trying to fight any of this gives an impression to LucifroN that his opponent is aging, because now he's moving out. There could be some villagers on the periphery that could be targeted, but in general, and that's where that Kura storehouse comes into play, most of the food villagers on those farms will be relatively safe for the time being.
Yeah, you're exactly on the money. LucifroN definitely suspects something is up. You know, the fact that Puppypaw is just refusing to engage on any level whatsoever, that there's no army, there's no real vision out here. So how does LucifroN look to react? Because obviously that age up's come through now. That's public knowledge. So LucifroN, what choice does he make? Does he look to put on some pressure? Or does he look to retreat? And it looks like it may potentially be a retreat. He's going to go castle himself, by the looks of it. No units
he's going to castle up, but he's also going to double down on the aggression because he's got the cavalry. Nice little trap. Has to delete the forge to save the villagers. Still, one of them falls. And it's going to be a push by LucifroN. I think he realized that Puppy doesn't have a huge army. Most of the army from Puppy is actually just archers. All the cavalry is gone, and the mounted samurai have yet to arrive.
They will be out very, very soon, though. Those Yoroshiros undoubtedly inside some stables now, and he is cooking out He is shitting out a metric ton of mounted samurais. There's going to be many of them, I suspect. We've also got veterancy coming through for the Yumi archers as well. So keep a keen eye on those. Golden Horn Tower now going to be thrown down for LucifroN.
I gotta say, a metric ton of mounted samurai is not a lot, Ozzy. You know that, right?
It's like 4, but
yeah, that's not a lot.
We could use the metric shit ton, which is like that's definitely quite a bit more. Horses are heavy, I guess, is probably the best way to say it. That's a great point.
So is the armor.
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, together with the armor, how much would the armor weigh on a horse? Like, especially in the castle age, you'd be looking at like 50, 60 kilos?
Yeah, I want to say,
with the guy on top as well?
I want to say, like, the whole unit probably is like 300 kilos.
Yeah, I reckon 2 to 3. Jeez, okay. We're going to need more than a metric ton of mounted samurai. We're going to order the metric shit ton.
Golden Horde Tower is up, though, and it's going to provide a nice low cover here for all these villagers. This is a huge spot here for LucifroN. He needs those berries. That's his only food source right now.
All right, well, slowly diving underneath. The mounted samurai deflecting for the moment. More of them en route as well. He's up to 6 mounted samurai, so indeed more than a ton. Now sacred sites slowly being taken as well by Puppypaw. He's yet to pick up any relics on this map, but look at the Yumi archers coming through, able to dust off all of these cavalry. Well, one of them. Second one, very, very close to death as well.
Yeah, the Yorishiros are now coming into play, though, for Puppypaw, and that is part of the reason why he can be a little bit more aggressive taking fights right now. Mounted Samurai are now coming in, although he's housed once again. The DC was idle for a moment, and okay, now he's fine housing-wise. Still, right now, LucifroN is on the defensive side of things, and I think, again, I just want to go back to the Kura Storehouse for a moment. LucifroN is going to have to make a hard farm transition very soon. That's not the case for Puppy. Look at how sustainable Puppy's eco is right now.
Yeah, the other consideration to remember as well, and this is something that people often forget with the Kura Storehouse, is because you've got those farms earlier, and you can throw a villager on them earlier. That means that villager is gathering food, but it's not draining your food, which means that your existing food sources can stay around for even longer, which, once again, makes that transition across to farms. Oh, sorry for bumping the microphone right there, but it makes that transition of farms so much easier. And it just guarantees that safer style of play. We now start to see walls coming up along that north side. So definitely thinking about expansion, aware of it. Quite a few on the mounted samurai number as well, up to double digits now.
There's a pack of deer for both players all the way to the north by the mountains. And the fact that Puppy is walling off that side will mean that he's going to have safe access not only to the gold, but also to the deer. Now, compare that to the position that LucifroN is in. He just decapped the tower that Puppypaw had next to his base. So Puppypaw, to this point, knew that LucifroN never moved out of that position. Now that he lost the tower, he's going to know that LucifroN aims to move out to the gold and also potentially to the deer. Although those walls are a lot more conservative and a lot more defensive.
Yeah, they are. Military numbers going to continue building here. How are we doing on upgrades? Let's double check and see. We've got Cav Attack 2 coming through for LucifroN, as we've got a whole bunch of upgrades that are now being flashed up on the screen. Nothing unique unlocked for our Japanese just yet, but Mounted Samurai now going to start breaking through this wall, not going to be allowing it to come up. The villager forced away from the front lines for the moment. Of course, he does have that watchtower, plenty of vision throughout all of this, and a little bit of a weird spot right here. I never know how it's going to go. Normally the guy with the range units is the guy who's going to do well in a situation like that, so people making the right call and backing on out of there.
He's trying to do some additional damage here, bringing in some Onamusha to pick off some villagers, but do keep in mind those Mounted Samurai are super tanky. So far, Puppypaw was a little bit more conservative, but that's mostly because he just wants the map control. He's going for the sacred site in the middle. Surprisingly, he still has not picked up a single relic.
Yeah, that is quite surprising, isn't it? We see both of them sitting with one in the bank. He's also got the second one back at home. At the moment, there's that third relic up towards the north side that is just sitting uncontested for the moment. Just remains sitting in the middle. You would naturally think Puppypaw is going to take it just because of the way that the map control currently exists, but you can never count out LucifroN. 17 minutes into the game, though. The army's starting to look pretty decent for him. He's got a nice composition that's come through. Plenty of Radari. Plenty of archers in here as well. Composition's looking quite nice. When it comes to his upgrades as well, he's had to fork out a little bit more for them. Obviously, Macedonians did get quite a few nerfs in the most recent patch. So one of the key nerfs in that patch was the fact that the upgrades cost slightly more the earlier upgrades.
Villagers. Okay, nice little reaction there. Puppypaw is in an interesting position here. He's kind of caught in between the mountains. Little flexibility to kind of sneak away. But he's got those walls close by, so he could always just run back through those, assuming he built a gate, which I hope he did.
I'm sure he has.
He has,
Yes.
okay. I've seen cases where that's not the situation, and that gets very ugly very often.
Especially when you issue a command to go to the other side of the wall and they have to run the long way, and you're wondering why they're routing in that direction.
Skirmishes on both sides. Both sides losing a couple of villagers here. 5 villagers killed on the food here for Puppy. Retaliation on the other side by the Yumi on the gold.
Yeah, plenty of villagers going down already. 6 and 7, respectively, armor, or rather, armies on different sides of the map. A whole bunch of mounted samurai down here to the south, though.
That's a lot of mounted samurai. They come from 2 sides, 24 of them with deflective armor, and LucifroN's army is fairly slow, except for the cavalry component. If Puppy decides to fight this and it turns ugly, LucifroN can only salvage a portion of his army here, but looks like Puppy does not want to fight this. He's waiting for the Yumi to come in from the north. They're just now moving in.
Yeah, you can feel like all of these moving parts are slowly coming together. The army's reuniting. Puppypaw's got a huge army here. 27 mounted samurai. That's more than a metric ton of samurai, that is for sure. It is quite a lot. Now, Radari
That's
as
a
well.
truckload for all our American friends.
Yes, yes. Three truckloads. It's quite a bit. Oh my god, I'm sitting here in this game and a daddy long-legged spider has just dropped itself right in front of me. There you go, buddy. You go over there.
Classic Australian experience.
Yeah, my son would be very happy. He loves spiders at the moment. But have a look at the amount of units that we've got in here. Plenty of mounted samurai on this front line. Not much to really deal with them other than the crossbowmen on the back here. Now, mounted samurai going to fall back away from the front. Radari numbers looking still a little bit decent, but it's those crossbow that I'm keeping an eye out on, Lidicor.
And they are carrying right now. The Yumi are slowly focusing them down, but this is a kind of fight that you don't want to take if you're Puppypaw. Your valuable units, the real backbone of your army, gets sniped out. Whereas, sure enough, you counter the crossbows with your Yumi, but the crossbows are not the main story here for LucifroN. Ends up being kind of an equal-ish trade here, but you get the sense that LucifroN is happy with that fight.
Yeah, I get the feeling it was definitely an equalish trade. It feels that way right now, but which way does the tempo go from here? Who's got the advantage when it comes to economy? Puppypaw's up by about 7 villages, which is quite a bit. And this is largely because of the Yorishiro inside the town center. One of the things that is quite powerful when you think about the way that that works. It reduces the time that it takes to train a villager. So at first, it doesn't really seem like much. But then, after 10 minutes, it starts to really add up. Those slight second advantages that you're getting for each villager begin to compound on each other. And so now you've got a villager lead that's quite substantial.
You know what else adds up, Ozzy? Food access. If you take a look at Puppy, he is on the hunt, he's on the berries, whereas LucifroN is starting to run out of food. He actually moved out to the boar, potentially, to the south. But those villagers are very much exposed. And I don't think he still has any farms to work with. So that's going to be a consideration. And with that tower still being controlled by Puppypaw, he knows fully well that LucifroN just walled off the north side of the map.
Yes. Well, it was revealed he does indeed have quite a few farms. And both players actually making quite a bit. You know, that's one thing that we don't have on the UI is a farm counter. How? I'm going to put it out there right now.
There we go.
Okay, there we go.
14 farms from LucifroN,
all right,
though.
all right. Yeah, he's got quite a bit compared to the 20 of his opponent. Cal, I'm just going to say, well done. Well done. I see you know your jiu-jitsu. Wonderful. Oh. All right, well, sprinkled in placement coming through for Puppypaw, looking to add in an extra little layer of defense. More upgrades on the way for LucifroN. So he's looking to pick up his 3rd cavalry armor upgrade here. And he's sitting quite low on the silver, which is good to see, because often you'll see players with a big stack of silver sitting in there, not really spending it. He's definitely effectively spending his silver.
The second layer of walls comes in very handy for LucifroN to avoid the disaster that he had in the previous game.
Yes.
Villagers will be pulled away, but you get the feeling that Puppypaw's eco is totally untouched and unharassed. That's not the case for LucifroN. Now he's down 13 eco. Plus 2 relics.
Yes. It's quite a bit that he's down now, all of a sudden. Meanwhile, towards his top side, it looks like Radari should be able to clean up the Mounted Samurai. Puppypaw not really paying attention as he's just kind of losing all of these units. Definitely a bit of a mistake, I'd say, from Puppypaw.
At the same time, he kills a few villagers down south, though, so he might still be okay. But indeed, all the cavalry being lost to the north. It feels like he's just trying to confine LucifroN within his own base.
Yeah.
Because right now, Puppypaw is sitting on 2,100 food per minute as compared to 800 on the other side. He's in a very, very comfy spot. And I think we're getting to the stage where Puppypaw might be happy just taking even trades and saying, listen, this is going to be a war of attrition and I'm going to win that.
And that's exactly it. I mean, there's so many things that are going for the Japanese economy at this stage of the game. The Yorishiro and the TC, that farm transition that's just so slow and eased into definitely makes a big assistance as well. But now we can see the numbers looking a little bit better here for Puppypaw outside the front of the Macedonian base. Archers together with the Mounted Samurai. Some Onimusha on the back line. Plenty of farms safely underneath the town center. His economy is completely transitioned. How is he sitting at 2.4k food a minute? That is ridiculous. I guess he's gotten on the deers recently, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's still on the deers, he's still on berries, so that's going to fall off eventually, but right now it's giving him a massive and much-needed boost. He's got a 40 population advantage. Village numbers also looking much, much better for him. This is a fight that LucifroN is taking, though. I don't know if it's a good fight, but it might be enough to hold off Puppypaw for a minute.
Yeah, it's looking like he's doing a little bit better. The Radari number is actually quite healthy here for him. He's up to 18 Radari, so definitely doing a bit of work here. It looks troublesome now all of a sudden for Puppypaw. The fact that he's overextended, he's pushed underneath the Macedonian base, and now he's being repelled. The Radari once again demonstrating, hey, you know, there's a reason why this unit was nerfed in the most recent patch. It is powerful.
Puppypaw wasn't focusing down a lot of the units, so if you look at all these Radari, part of the reason why LucifroN still has so many is because many of them are low HP, but none of them were actually killed.
Now underneath
this could be dangerous for Lucy, though.
Yeah, there's a lot of Springolds that are firing down upon you right now. This is this could be an overextension, especially the fact that you mentioned all of these cav. A lot of them have got very low health on them, so they could easily get sniped out. It looks like a scary army until you turn the health bars on.
And there's a second town center here for Puppypaw. That's a critical piece of information for Lucy. That's part of the reason why Puppy is up by 25 or at this point 28 eco.
Yeah, it's a big difference and a key component here. So do we potentially see LucifroN look to match that? Maybe go all in? I don't think he could really go all in from this position, especially when you look at the army that's here right now. The fact that you've spotted that second TC, it doesn't feel good knowing that that second TC is on the board, but he's going to continue making more Radari. We see 2 more in queue. He's going to try and put the pressure on here. Onimusha should be able to deflect it, and indeed are able to, as all of these health pools are basically sitting at less than 10%, unfortunately.
It's interesting how heavy Puppypaw is going into archers still, especially when you consider that there wasn't a Yumi Bannerman that was called down. So, those Yumi archers were very, very underwhelming against all these Radari. Obviously, they were meant to counter crossbows, but there's just nothing else besides Radari in LucifroN's army right now.
That's all you need. That's all you need. Just a few Radari. And, well, it'll do the rest for you. They do have that ability to throw axes, as we now see them snipe out one of those Onimusha that move through the forests. Yeah, he's probably going to need to add something else. And we see a whole bunch of archers in queue, which definitely makes sense in this situation. A little bit of a snipe down towards the south, stopping that sacred site from being stolen. Meanwhile, the fight resumes in the north. Mounted Samurai, Radari, fighting off, looking to control more territory towards that top side. There's plenty of gold up there. And
there's still a relic up there. No one really wants that at this point.
The forbidden relic. Let's take a look at the perspective of these players. Do they know about this relic? Yeah, neither of the players have actually scouted that one out. So there you go. I guess that's part of the reason why. And yes, the sacred site as well remains a mystery to them all, together with this gold vein. There's a whole bunch that they are yet to discover.
Full walls now coming down here for LucifroN, and if you are Puppypaw, you probably want the same thing, because we're getting to that late stage of the game where it becomes more and more important to be able to just raid the opponent's eco. So many times the late Imperial, post-Imperial games end up in a situation where whoever hits the enemy's eco is just going to win the game. And that's why walls become so much more important once you get closer to Imperial and once you go into post-Imp.
Yeah, it's a really important thing to solidify that front line. Puppypaw yet to really do that on his side, though. He's obviously walled quite a bit towards the north, but the front gate is still well and truly open. So perhaps something he needs to reconsider, especially considering how many Radari are out on this field.
Puppy's got a lot of gold in the bank, but he doesn't have the food to age up, and I think he's also being very cautious about it. Do keep in mind, LucifroN is up 2-1 here. This is match point for Lucy, and we've seen instances in the past in this series where Puppy aged up and then LucifroN punished it with a time push. And Onimusha aren't particularly good at when it comes to standing and fighting. So you gotta be very cautious with this age up if you're Puppy, but I think now he's going to commit to it.
Alright. Onimusha together with the Mounted Samurai on that top side. Got a lot of range.
Spot.
Yeah, they're also on top of that hill as well. There's the Castle of the Crow now being put down. It's going up towards that north side on top of the sacred site. Keep in mind, he's already got control of the first one. That's going to be the second one. That's 50 villages that are building that.
That's such a dicey spot.
Yeah.
First off, if you lose this, it's game over. But this is a smart move by Puppy. He saw LucifroN diving his main base, so frankly, that was actually the safest spot to throw it down to. And also, 56 villagers will finish it so quick. Now the Castle of the Crow is up. LucifroN might try to force a fight before the upgrades come in. Let's see. Indeed, he is looking to dive. Puppy needs to stall until the upgrades come in.
It's going to be super hard, though, especially if it's using the buildings that have got Yoroshiros inside them to get these upgrades. But it doesn't look like he is. They'd be in if they were. They are very quick to come through otherwise. But yes, looking for elite Mounted Samurai as well as the elite Yumi Archers coming through now, as well as the Odachi upgrade.
And this is a...
No, go for it.
He has the relic. That's probably just a distraction at that point, or perhaps to slow down this chase. This is a bad spot for LucifroN. He's completely trapped in here. Even if he kind of tries to break through these walls, the Onimusha will pick off some units from across the walls. And now there is a chase coming his way. This is really his only escape path, and he needs to get out of here really fast.
Meanwhile, up towards this north side, plenty of units now routing onto this wall. Wants to give it a little bit more freedom to access in through here. Keep in mind the Castle of the Crow is up here, so he needs to be cautious about going too deep, but elite upgrades have arrived on the Mounted Samurai. Not the most efficient place to fight, we'll say that right now. Villagers potentially sniped out. He's got a decent advantage. Not a lot of units. I feel like there's a potential Macedonian sandwich on the cards here, Litter.
And there's going to be a lot of meat in that sandwich because the horses and all these troopers are just falling so quick. There's nowhere to go here for Lucy. He cannot go north because of the castle. He cannot go south because of this army. And this is a full age differential here. And Lucy is just going to throw in the towel. We have a series on our hands. Puppy is not done fighting.
That is impressive from the Canadian to pull that one back once again. Now we've got ourselves a 2-2 situation, and it all comes down to a best of one. You know, when he's sitting in that position, when he's 0-2 in this series, his heart must be in his hands. He must be feeling terrible. Well, now all of a sudden, he's kept his mental about him, and he's managed to make it through to the other side. Will he be able to do a reverse sweep? Well, we'll have to wait until the next game to find out.
It would be such a heartbreak for LucifroN if this ended up being a reverse sweep. this was a LucifroN show in the first 2 games, but I feel like Puppypaw has managed to kind of adapt to LucifroN's style a little. What's interesting about this is that Game 2 was on Hill and Dale, which is technically a slower-paced map, so that's certainly a place where Puppypaw could have tried to just stall this thing out and play a slower game that did not come together. But at the end of the day, now he's got 2 points on the board, and King of the Hill is always kind of a wild card when it comes to games, indeed. As we have King of the Hill coming up, no civilizations have been chosen just yet. King of the Hill, very much a wild card, and it's kind of a unique map in many ways. It could easily go either way, and, you know, an hour ago we wouldn't have said that Puppypaw has a legitimate chance of playing the finals.
Yeah, it's a lot has changed in these last 2 games, that is for sure. And to think that it all comes down to King of the Hill is kind of crazy. We see a lot of games on this map that just, they don't feel right, they don't look right, but they end up, oh gosh, look at the civilizations. I'm so excited. I'm super excited. We got ourselves a French v China matchup, an old school OG matchup coming up on King of the Hill. Oh, Lidicor. This is going to be great.
I have so many thoughts about the French pick here that you cannot even imagine.
Is he going to be fast Imperial? Is that what we're potentially saying? Because it could be.
I want to go see the rest of the draft to explain my point. So we're just going to have to wait a minute for that. But 3rd time, by the way, that LucifroN picks Golden Horde. The last 3 games, every single time, he threw out Golden Horde as one of the 2 picks. You said it could be a bait, and I don't disagree with that. But it's kind of funny how every single time he throws out Golden Horde, Puppypaw just said, nope, you're not playing that.
And interestingly, Puppypaw won every single game that LucifroN tried to pick Golden Horde. Is it a sign of things to come in game number 5? It could be. All right, well, it was a good game number 4. We got to see a lot of fights, a lot of cavalry in that last game. But yeah, as you can see from the drafts there, I mean, what options did Puppypaw have on this final map? Byzantines? Not really. Mongols? I mean, we've seen Mongols work on this map before. There was a period, there was a time where Mongols was the only thing you'd pick on this map.
And French. So let's talk about this in terms of the drafting. The way this draft works is that the bans that you have are exclusive hidden parallel bans, which means that you don't ban a civilization for the entire series. You only ban it for your opponent. But every single civilization pick itself is global, which means that what ended up happening is Puppypaw bans French from LucifroN, and that bars LucifroN from ever picking French. At the same time, because LucifroN didn't ban French from Puppy had the option to pick French. So the only player in this series after the bans who could have ended up with French was Puppy. And it's always interesting to look at whether the ban was a storyline of, hey, I don't want you to play that civ, or it was a storyline of, I want that civ and I want to make sure that you don't have the chance to pick it. So in this context, it's interesting to look at the fact that Puppy has the French, because it was a very deliberate effort from him to make sure that LucifroN never has French.
Yeah, I can see that 100%. Yeah, it's wonderful looking at the drafts and the way that it works, and the fact that we've gotten to this point. I mean, we've got 4 minutes until the game begins, so we've got quite a bit that we can talk about here. Where does that Barbican go down? Actually, Barbican, I mean, on a map like this, there's probably an argument that you could drop the Barbican down earlier, but it's probably just going to affect your economy too much to go for the Barbican earlier. So we probably see the Imperial Academy in the base, standard opening. Maybe the Barbican gets dropped down a little bit later on. But yeah, I guess one thing that I'm keeping in the back of my head is the fact that we could potentially see fast Imperials from both sides here. Both have got viable defensive Imperial Age landmarks here, and it really all just comes down to the Sacred Site on this map. There's no other way that it can really be played, right? Like, I don't think we've seen landmark snipes on this map. I don't think we really see players. I mean, you can obviously play it other ways as well, like play it in focused on the Feudal Age, but I think the main focus is pretty much just going to be on that Sacred Site.
It's gonna be. That is the storyline of King of the Hill. You have a single Sacred Site. If you control that, you can start a timer. And so many times we've seen a single player just playing super defensive, having the sacred site, and then forcing the other player's hand. That has been the storyline of King of the Hill for so long. And when it comes to that, Chinese have really good static defenses and a very good ability to defend a specific position.
Yeah.
And in that context, if LucifroN gets the upper hand in securing the middle, it's going to be difficult to the French to kind of break that stranglehold.
Yes, very much so. I think it will definitely come down to it, to who's going to be able to control and secure that. By this... Oh, apparently the timer was incorrect. We're just diving straight into the game. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for game number 5 of these semi-finals. The winner of this game, this best of one, I guess technically, will go through to potentially fight for their life to go to Red Bull, which would be nice. It would be a good thing. Anyway, let's get into it. We've got 2 of the world's best players doing a little bit of long-distance mining here. Ladies and gentlemen, in the west of the map, in the color red, playing as the French, it's Puppypaw.
And on the east side of the map, we have LucifroN playing as the Chinese in yellow. He started 2-0, but since then, it has been a Puppypaw show 2 games in a row. And it would be such a storyline for Puppy if he could reverse sweep this series and go into the grand finals with a massive comeback.
Yeah, this is going to be an impressive one if he can pull it back, but it's up against the Chinese, a civilization that's very close to my heart. I'm going to be paying very keen attention to seeing what LucifroN is up to in this game. It looks like it's going to be a standard opening here today. I'm curious whether or not we'll see professional scouts. I suspect we probably will. Professional scouts and the Chinese go very well together. Now, on the side of Puppypaw, there's obviously a couple of advantages that he's got. He's not going to be looking to utilize cheaper professional scouts today as an option as the French get, because he's already out on the deer. Alright, we check back in on that west side. You can see he's got quite a few villagers already out here. This is going to get scouted out. Don't know exactly what just happened with that villager. That villager was maybe going for a bit of a snipe on one of those deers, but age up now coming through. Imperial Academy, as we suspected. There was a part of me that was thinking maybe we could have a Barbican political in the middle of the map, just a single villager moving out to build the Barbican. We've seen that before, but it's been a long time since we've seen that.
I just feel like you don't do that in game number 5. If anything collapses there, you could literally lose the game.
Yes.
You could literally be looking at a setup where your opponent just went for a Rax and a Spearman just to specifically deny that play. And then if your Feudal Age up gets denied, it's just all over. So I just feel like it's a risk that you do not need to take in this position.
Have a look how early this age up is, by the way. That's a 3-minute 15 age up with 5 vills on the Imperial Academy for LucifroN. So he was really rushing this landmark up. Imperial official in queue immediately. This has been the standard now for the Chinese for a long time, almost probably even more than a year. And this was all changed by, I think, Wham was the one that really started doing this, where the Chinese don't go for an Imperial official out of the gates as the Chinese anymore, and instead they wait for their Imperial Academy. So it means that you're going to be hurting yourself a little bit in the short term, but in the long run you have an extra villager.
It's always nice to get that early eco buff. I think it's often overlooked how much value you have in getting a slight boost to your early economy. It adds up over time, and I think that has been the storyline of this game over the years. Back when this game released, it was all over in Feudal Age aggression. Every single game was a Longbow, Spearman Rush, or a Knight Rush, and you just tried to finish your opponent off in early Feudal. And then as players got better in defending, players started realizing that it's very difficult to dive an enemy base and do a lot of eco damage, and these slightly more defensive approaches started prevailing. So that is really where you start looking at these early game eco boosts, partly because the players are so good at defending now that if you do not do it, you're just going to fall behind compared to your opponent.
Yes, yeah, that's exactly it. Yes, players have gotten very good over time, but upgrades now starting to come through. Wheelbarrow together with specialized pick now coming through for Puppypaw on the French. Meanwhile, for LucifroN, he's starting to stack up that gold and that wood, so we'll see professional scouts coming in shortly. The Horseman is out, and he will be looking to put on pressure. Meanwhile, 2 Knights in queue for Puppypaw, so both players looking to get out and early with their cavalry. Wall coming up as well for Puppypaw to the north of the existing villages. Horseman's going to make it a long way around, but will eventually make it towards that spot. Horseman and Knight doing a little bit of the two cars going past each other. Different directions. Professional Scout's about to come through here. Decent timing for him as well. 5 minutes 45. Not a bad time at all for Professional Scouts. And Iraq's getting thrown up as well. Meanwhile, Villager going to get taken out potentially, Lytical. Goes down. Meanwhile,
This is a tricky spot, or tricky map, I should say, for using Knights, because you have so much of a limited area to move in. But if you can find 1 or 2 villagers, it's a huge, huge benefit. And same applies on the other side, of course, for LucifroN and his horsemen. This is a game that can easily snowball out of control, so early advantages like a villager kill or 2 can really add up quickly. Speaking of which, nice little save there by LucifroN.
Yeah, utilizing that wonderfully positioned village just to the south side of the town center, or just to the east of the town center. Able to garrison in there. Guarantees that he keeps that villager alive. Survival techniques now going to be coming through as well for LucifroN, so he's really looking to try and focus that economy as much as he can. Going to be transitioning to a castle age, I suspect, off the back of this. He's going to be looking to pick up a lot of food here. Scouts continue hunting for those deer carcasses, now making their way towards the top side, but there are knights here. Naturally, they will do their best to stop that from happening.
Game has certainly slowed down here, and I think that's where you look at the eco upgrade differential. You already have Wheelbarrow plus the mining upgrade for Puppypaw now coming in with the food upgrade as well. On the other side, you just have the Imperial Officers, and that's it.
Yes, yeah, that's the key here. Yeah, there is survival techniques that has come through as well, which I don't think is, it's not reflected on the UI, or at least not currently. I'm sure Cal's got a button to press, and he'll show us survival techniques, though.
He's got a button for everything, I feel.
Except for survival techniques, apparently. Archery range also coming up now for Puppypaw. So there was a part of me that was thinking, okay, is he just going to try and stick it out on Knights? We have seen many a player do that, but it's not going to be the case here. No Knight-only games today. Instead, going to be switching into some archers. We saw Imperial Examinations come up for a split second there for LucifroN. This is something that we do typically see. The Chinese playing one base, but playing very economically focused. A lot of Imperial officials, a lot of big upgrades. Now starting to come through.
Yeah, he is yet to go up to Song Dynasty, by the way, so that's going to be a consideration to look at. And right now it's exclusively Spearmen. On the other side, it's exclusively Knights. But these Spearmen will not be able to do any eco damage, so really it's a matter of how much damage can Puppypaw cause, because right now LucifroN will not have the chance to retaliate.
Yeah, interestingly, he's moving north with these spears. He's wanting to secure the deer towards the north, but this does leave him vulnerable in the south side, and we do see a couple of units sneaking in over towards his stone, and now making their way over towards that wood line. Might potentially pick up a villager kill. Indeed gets one, and second one not going to be happening today. So all these villagers safely garrisoned, but Spear's making good connections up towards that top side.
And this is a good piece of information here for Puppy. He intercepts these scouts as they are ferrying in deer carcasses, knows that his opponent is on pro scouts now. Another villager does not fall, but the knight and the scout does. And Puppypaw does not have a backup scout, so now his vision is going to be incredibly limited.
He did manage to pick up 2 Vil kills, which is decent, but you definitely would have hoped for a little bit more. Meanwhile, towards the south, we've got a wall that's coming up. The scout stands on the segment that needed to be built, starts torching the gate, and it all goes downhill from here. He's kept this one open.
When it's all said and done, despite the fact that Puppy has 10 knights against just 4 horsemen, it's 2 villagers killed on each side, so it has been a really good last few minutes for LucifroN in terms of negating damage and just being able to retaliate a little for all these raids.
Now, Puppypaw over on that west side. Keep in mind, LucifroN's thinking about castling here. Puppypaw, he's got a couple of options open to him. Does he look to try and double down in Feudal Age? Could be a potential option for him, but I would suspect he's probably just going to try and follow LucifroN up.
This is a tricky choice here for Puppy. He's got a lot of knights and archers. He's nowhere near being able to age up, so he's going to be delayed quite a bit. At the same time, I don't know if you can dive this. Spearman Horseman tends to have the ability to beat Knight and Archer. Although that's quite a lot of Knights that we're looking at, and some of them are damaged. Not a lot of them, but still. So it's a tricky spot for Puppy. I don't know if he has the ability to just totally demolish his opponent as he's aging up. And if that's not the case, this could be catastrophic. If you dive and lose this army and you're nowhere close to Castle Age, that's almost game.
Yeah, I don't think you can do it. It's always harder against the Chinese as well because that town center is putting out a lot more damage against these knights. But we do have a little bit of a pick-off coming through. It's just going to be a scout that goes down, so nothing too bad at this stage. Imperial official coming out to donate itself as well, as they love to do. But yeah, Age Up should be through in the next 10 to 20 seconds though. Spears down towards the south, a lot of them preventing this attack from coming through. Meanwhile, towards that northern side, outposts solidifying this position, guaranteeing those villagers stay alive a little bit longer. And you can see, I don't think there's any way you're doing any damage here as the Age Up comes through. It's a late Age Up as well, 11:30, but I guess he's made a lot of units though.
Puppy never pulled the archers, so it was very clear that he wasn't going to dive. But importantly, he saw the gold miners and the double towers and the gold. That tells him everything he needs to know. He knows that his opponent is aging, even though he did not have a scout with those knights. Like, his vision is so limited. He certainly did not see the landmark being built, but he knows the Age Up is coming. He's starting to pile up food and gold, but he's still so far away from clicking up, and this is the power spike that LucifroN might have been waiting for.
Yeah, this is where it gets very scary. So you can see he's got veterancy coming through for his spearmen, and this is being supervised out by those Imperial officials, which means it's going to be in about 3 seconds that upgrade will be coming through, which is just incredible. But now pushing forward, the archers together with the knights. A little bit of annoying horseman shenanigans down here, but nothing too crazy. Big attack on those berries though, Lidicor.
And this is a huge one right here. A few more villagers die. That is something that Puppypaw has been doing really well. He's been splitting up the knights. He's not looking for direct fights. He's looking for raids. And it's not just the villager kills. It's also the idle time that's forced on them. Though at the same time, the horsemen do clean up a lot of the archers. That's actually a beautiful cleanup by LucifroN. And it's only 6 versus 4 in terms of the villager kills down south at the berries. LucifroN was able to pick off a villager or two, and now he's got his lancers coming in. Again, I feel like we're repeating the same thing. Some eco damage by Puppypaw, but it's not anywhere near catastrophic.
Yes, it's not yet catastrophic, but the way that he's going is looking a bit scary. And the thing is, the spears are just sort of chasing around the knights, and as long as the knights are picking up kills at the very least, then there is damage being done. But you can see the spears are just having a field day here when it comes to chasing.
Puppy is just trying to confine LucifroN into his base because he's trying to age up and he wants a keep. Notice how Puppypaw is already on stone. It might just be tower and defensive emplacements initially, but I have a feeling that he wants to rush Castle Age and then try to get a keep up in the middle. Nice little interception of the scouts.
Yeah, he's tried to pick off every single one. Not able to find the last one, unfortunately, but fortunately, he does manage to stay alive with all of those knights. Do need to be cautious about the spears there. Very, very quick to annihilate anything riding a horse or a camel.
LucifroN's food bank is looking very, very sad right now, and that's just hindering him so much in terms of expanding his knight count. He's still only on 3 lancers as compared to 17 on the other side. And now you're going to have the guild hall come in for Puppypaw. And that's one of the advantages that you get as the French. You get to build up your knight numbers as you're in feudal age. So when you arrive to castle, you just upgrade them and you have a huge force, whereas LucifroN needs to build it up from scratch after reaching castle age.
Yeah, very, very true. Interestingly, we do see farm transitions also coming through. Puppypaw putting down 4 farms at the 14-minute mark, which is very early to be putting down farms. Normally, you'd get away with seeing them around the 17-minute mark. So there's really not much food on the map that is left for him to contest. There's a couple boars, that's about it. Otherwise, it's all farms, baby.
Castle Age is in. And LucifroN doesn't have the chance to punish this, especially because the walls are up on both flanks. So really the only way that he can go into his opponent's base is through the middle.
Spearman looking good here. managing to make a couple connections. That's 6 eco kills for both players now. Keep in mind, despite the Chinese having access to Song Dynasty, they haven't utilized it just yet. The Barbican's still yet to be dropped here for LucifroN. Meanwhile, Puppypaw does have faster training villagers as the French. That's continuing to add up through this game. But now, in the middle of the map, a couple knights will get cleaned up as the Lancer number is starting to look very healthy as well for LucifroN. Where does Puppypaw go from here? I suspect he could look to move into some Arbalatria, potentially.
Very possibly. This is the first keep that he's dropping. I think he wanted it into the middle, but then realized that he no longer has the window to drop it. So for now, it's going to be just a very, very defensive building to prevent any retaliation. But I'm sure he's going to get enough stone for a second, and he's going to look and try and get one in the middle. In the meantime, LucifroN is finally walling up. LucifroN needs to secure more food, though. The difference in food income is just absolutely staggering right now.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I think he's just moved a whole bunch of villagers out here over onto the berries, though, so this is going to pump it up pretty quickly. Nice wall here as well, guaranteeing these knights aren't really able to do much damage, and Puppypaw could potentially be in a bad spot right now. He's trying to wiggle his way out. Spear's going to be able to chase. Now makes his way over towards that west wall. Curious decision by LucifroN with the Lancers. No, not curious at all. They've found a spot up towards the north. 5 villagers sit here, almost guaranteed to be killed. Meanwhile, those spears just holding back the knights for now.
Ooh, oh, that's nasty. That is just so nasty.
Archer's finally arriving. Now the knights can think about maybe actually committing to that fight. He took out a lot of knights right there. That was very painful.
The Spearman Stagger just absolutely mauled Puppypaw in there, and you could see that Puppypaw was trying to pull away these units from the tower, and the tower kind of spoiled the whole thing because it started shooting. So the knights realized that there's a tower here, and all of a sudden you're looking at 11 kills on the villagers from LucifroN. Only 6 for Puppypaw. Villager count neck and neck right now, and LucifroN gets to have that boar for himself as well.
A lot of food to be able to access. He's going to be able to take it out with his army as well, so guarantees that those lower health villagers do stay alive, and we do see a switch now into archery ranges, so it could be Arbalatria that are on the field, and indeed 3 in the cubit. Have a look here, second TC for Puppypaw. This is actually really smart by Puppypaw. The way the game is currently going, it doesn't feel like LucifroN is going to be pushing for a victory anytime soon. It definitely feels it's going to be a bit more methodical, this type of game, the way that he's walling up, slowly creeping forward. So by going for this second TC, it's guaranteeing that in the next 5 minutes there won't be much of a dent, but in the next 10 minutes you're really going to start feeling it.
This is an interesting spot because you get the feeling that Puppy is going to concede the middle. He's playing a very eco-focused game. Guildhall,
correct.
Second TC, but he's got a defensive cost at the front of his base, so he knows fully well that he can do this because he's got a very, very well-defended base, and it looks like LucifroN is not thinking about diving just yet.
Yes. Yeah, this is looking... I mean, let's see exactly how it plays out. That's a lot of Lancers. I'm a little bit scared by that Lancer number. Arbalatria underneath the keep. Should try and keep it safe. It's a dangerous dive for him to do that. He's going to throw all of the units inside the keep. They're going to assist. There's plenty here in the way of defense, and indeed, LucifroN falls back away from this. Second TC, I think it remains undiscovered at this stage of the game. So, from the perspective of LucifroN, I think he's got a numbers advantage. He just doesn't know exactly why that is just yet.
Yeah, I think so. This is a big thing. He has no idea about the second TC, and he's losing a lot of these Lancers. He's trying to secure the middle area, so I think he's just trying to get some cushion here with this army, but the losses are not necessarily sustainable when you consider that Puppy is on 2 TCs. He does have the Sacred Site, though, so the countdown begins. We have 10 minutes. At the same time, Puppy is slowed down by the fact that first, he's housed once again, but more importantly, he had to transition into farms, and that's a big thing here. That's going to slow him down quite a bit.
You know, with God Vision, it makes it very easy, because we know what the right call is in this situation. But I'm curious exactly how LucifroN looks to play from here. I think the best thing he could do is look for a Barbican in the middle, maybe get a Springald placement on it, and then just go straight up Imp. I mean, that's because we've got God Vision, and we know what the right play would be, or what a cool-looking play might be. I tell you what, this might look a little bit scary here, Lidicor. Oh, he's going to go for a defensive, preemptive Wololo. He says, go on, I dare. Oh! Jeez Louise.
Look at the quick walls, though, and this is a beautiful trap. Puppy tried to make something happen just to create a distraction from his eco build-up, and Lucy is punishing this so much. If all these knights go down, that's catastrophic for Puppy.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to go down. I don't think there's any way out of here. You can see just how well LucifroN is controlling this. What a quick wall.
That is unreal. Oh, he looked away for a second, but again, LucifroN is just such a good micro player. There's no way out of here. That's beautiful by LucifroN. Painful for Puppy. He's down to just one knight.
Yeah, but the Sacred Site was neutralized, which is great. Like, in this situation, that is all he really needs to do. Neutralize the Sacred Site and then just play defensive. The last thing you want to do here is just commit to a fight. So, you know, stay underneath your keep massing up, and that's essentially it. And just wait for that second TC to pay off. Because, remember, you've got that French bonus that's also kicking as well. LucifroN still yet to go into Song Dynasty, still sitting in Tang Dynasty here. So that economic difference is really going to start building up here.
And yeah, as Cow is pointing out to us right now, Puppy's guild hall is on food, and if you take a look at his gold bank, he's hoarding a lot of gold. He's actually waiting for the food to be sufficient to just pull it out and go into Imperial immediately. Right now, like, he's looking for Imperial, and that's very, very clear, and he's going to leverage the guild hall for that. And as an added point, do not forget, Puppy built up a farming eco. That's not the case for LucifroN. At some point, if this game goes long, LucifroN's gonna have to transition to farms, although, oh boy. I don't know what these guys were doing out here, but there goes some of that villager lead.
There it goes, yeah. You're not wrong with regard to the food for Imperial Age. We know it's going to be the Red Palace. The question about, for me at least, is where? Where is that Red Palace going to go? And is it going to be on the Sacred Site? Because if it's not, I mean, is it even a Red Palace if it's not on the Sacred Site?
It would be beautiful for him to have it on the Sacred Site. I just don't think he has the window to drop it there.
I don't like
He lost all the knights.
Critical.
He lost the army that could secure that position, unless he's going very heavy
start
artillery
taking risks,
and archers.
Lidicor. You got to start taking risks. You got to drop it down when the enemy's army is in your face.
Maybe you're right. It would be a risky call, though, let's just say that. But yeah, just to your point about decapping the Sacred Site, that's very valuable for Puppypaw here. Gaining 2 or 3 extra minutes for this kind of a build is just so useful.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what it really comes down to. I remember playing a lot of Delhi on the ladder, and it was all just about, you know, if you were able to hold that Sacred Site and not let it be decapped, it was such a big difference. But now we see walls getting deleted, villages out a little bit far. This could be incredibly bad right here for Puppypaw as LucifroN makes a connection with all of these villagers. He's so far away from his keep. Lidicor, this is terrible.
There goes the entire villager lead he had, and this might just be the complete collapse of this build. If you lose 20 villagers like this, you're just not going to have the eco advantage that you've been kind of thinking about for the last like 10-15 minutes. Now, there is another side of the coin here. He can pull the food now and he would be close to Imperial, and LucifroN lost a lot of troops. If you want to drop the Red Palace, now is the time to do that.
He doesn't have any gold though. Where is he gathering his gold? Because if we look...
I think he ran out.
Yeah, if we look at his base right now, I don't see any gold. I remember a game, oh gosh, it was a long time ago. I think it was the game Demu played. And he just ran into this same issue, that there's no gold on the low ground that was easily accessible for him, and he just had to resign. And, you know, now that we look at it, there's really not many spots that he can gather gold from. He's sitting at 150, that's it.
If he had the gold right now, you would see the keep coming up in the middle already. And I feel like this is a missed window, because now, at least he's going to decap it, but this is exactly the time that you would want to drop that building at. A couple of villagers even came up to the middle here. I almost wonder if he's going to start powering and just starting to take the gold.
Yeah, it could be an option for him. He's moving down towards the south. Maybe that's where he's thinking about it, but yeah, quite a few
I think the villagers
archers
were just misclicked.
Yes, they've started retreating. Yeah, Puppypaw, unfortunately, he's lost a lot of villagers in recent time, but there he goes now, looking to try and solidify this position of the south with a couple of outposts. Oh, poor guy. I tell you what, after that big raid, LucifroN's going to be feeling really good about himself. There's a lot of villagers that died.
If it wasn't for that raid, LucifroN's position would be bad.
Yep.
The only saving grace really for Puppy is that he killed a lot of enemy troops while that raid was going on. But just notice where LucifroN is dropping his towers. He's trying to physically block a Red Palace from being built, and it's not just any tower. They're going to be fortified, they will have Spring Golden placements. It's going to be so difficult for Puppypaw to drop a Red Palace here.
Yeah, another thing to note is that that decap wasn't successful on the Sacred Site. So he was trying to decap it with the archers, with the Arbitria. He put the shield down on the Arbitria and said, I'm sticking to my guns right here. I'm sticking to my shield. And, yeah, he still walked away from it. So there's the Red Palace. It is going to come down. Bit of a weird spot, but it's not that weird. It's a great defensive point that he'll be able to push off here and be able to challenge the Sacred Site with. It'll be very hard to attack into that spot. But we can see it's going to be difficult for him to get this up as well. Horseman number looking healthy. Crossbow together with the archers on the backside, trying to eat through it. And the numbers looking decent here for Puppypaw on the defense. Only 14 villagers on the Red Palace Liverpool, so not coming out super fast. But the numbers still looking pretty good for Puppypaw, despite losing all those villagers.
This is looking really good for Puppypaw, actually. A couple of villagers got killed on the front line as well here for Lucy. But what's big here is that now you can get bombards and quickly take out these towers. And I think a big piece missing here for LucifroN is the knowledge about the second PC. He might suspect there is something, but he never saw it with his own eyes. So in his world, he might be surprised how many villagers he killed and how powerful Puppy still is. He switches the guild hall to gold as well. If you take out these towers and rush the stone, it doesn't matter.
Wow. Jeez Louise, Puppypaw reverse sweeping, 3-2ing LucifroN 7 in an incredible game with... I can't believe what we just witnessed. That was just something special, wasn't it? That was... Wow. There were so many units that... Well, so many villages that were taken out, and I think you're hitting the nail on the head. LucifroN 7 must have been thinking to himself, how the hell has he still got so much? I took out all those villages. There shouldn't be this many units. And yet, here we are with just hordes of them.
Wow. This is very difficult to just digest what we've seen here. It was a LucifroN show for the first two games, and then Puppy, off the back of the Malians, that's how it all started. Remember that Malian game where his base was being pushed, but while that was happening, he managed to just kill 20 villagers because LucifroN did not notice them being killed at the time. That was his first win. And since then, he had just a second layer to him, and he reverse sweeps this whole series. What a day for Puppypaw. I'm going to have to check real quick because, indeed, Puppypaw has not made it into the finals of the qualifiers since week 1. He actually made it there by beating Anathan 3-0 and then lost to Marine Lord 4-0. But since then, he did not make it to the finals. He actually lost in the semifinals against Anathan on week 2. In week 3, Puppypaw lost to Myriad 3-0. So, big chance here for Puppypaw. He is looking to secure one of those spots in London and join his brother because Wham has already qualified.
Indeed, yes. It's, I mean, it all comes down to this, doesn't it? So, Puppypaw going through to the next stage. Of course, going to sit and wait in the finals to see who he will be up against. We've got the interview now with Puppypaw. Puppypaw, can you hear me? Hello, Puppypaw.
Oh, yeah, I can hear you. Can you guys hear me?
Hey, Puppypaw, how you doing? Congratulations. You must be feeling incredible after that victory right there, mate. How does it feel, especially considering the fact it was a reverse sweep?
Yeah, I do feel incredible. You know, I don't get too excited often, but that was an exciting moment for me.
Yeah, that was really... I mean, the first couple of games looked incredibly tough for you. How were you feeling in that moment when you're 2 down, you're looking at the rest of the scoreboard, you're thinking, oh gosh, this is not going to be pretty. I got to win every single game here to do this. What's going through your head there?
I mean, you just got to take it one game at a time. I felt like the civs I had left were decent enough. Like, I felt comfortable on them as well. So I thought if I just, you know, focused up, I think I can do it, so, yeah.
I want to take you back to that last game that you played, the second TC that was put down. We continue to remark about how that right there was like the key ingredient in all of it. How were you feeling when you got that decap, that first decap through on the sacred site? Was it a bit of a relief for you?
So yeah, I mean the decap came around the time when I lost all my knights. So a bit of a mixed emotions there because I did decap the site, which I felt like was really good for me because I mean I wasn't really sure how Zika was at that point because he was completely walled off. I didn't really have much vision, but I knew if I decap at that point in the time, I still have so much time. I have guild hall, I have lots of villagers, I have lots of farms. Like I think even with losing all those knights, I thought I was in a winnable position. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the key components is that I guess cavalry's been a powerhouse throughout this event, and obviously things are shifting at the moment, but it was great to see the big ball of infantry that you had at the end there, just how strong it was. Moving forward into the next game, obviously that's going to be it. You're hoping to obviously join your brother over in London. How are you feeling? How are you preparing moving into the finals?
I don't know. I think I have to stick to what I know, how to play. Some of these matchups, some of these drafts, I think I just... Not that I messed up. Like, in the first game, I didn't mess up too much. In the second game, that was definitely a poor decision on my drafting part, so I need to avoid that, for sure. But I just gotta play like I do in practice, yeah. I don't know.
All right, well, best of luck moving forward into the finals. It's obviously going to be a bit of a long day for you. So good luck with it all. And look, we might be speaking to you again a little bit later today. So we'll wait and see how it goes. But good luck with it.
Yeah, hopefully. See ya.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you. All right. Well, we'll see you guys shortly. We're going to head off to a break, and we'll be back with our second set for the day. So stay tuned for that. But thank you once again, Puppypaw, for joining us. Congratulations, and we'll see you soon, my friend. Also, we'll see you guys soon.